Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 6SF. Chapter 126C3 No. 18. Third Watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It's so fast. Even I can't react. Deidara clenched his teeth and covered his chest. He felt a burning pain in his internal organs. However, before Deidara fell to the ground, more than 10 meters away from the ground, he saw Ye Shenyue appearing under him again. Shadow Dance Leaf. Sasuke frowned slightly. It's just too scary to be able to imitate Shadow Dance Leaf's movements just by speed. What? Deidara stared at Ye Shenyue below him with wide eyes. Even if you can see it, there is no room for reaction. Ye Shenyue let out a loud cry, grabbed Deidara's back fiercely, made a sharp turn, and then threw himself under him. In an instant, Deidara's landing speed increased again. At this speed, it might even smash the ground directly. It's not over yet, Ye Shenyue yelled loudly, kicking hard on Deidara's back. Crack. It seemed to be the sound of broken bones. Deidara let out a muffled grunt, then howled miserably, and flew into the air again. Scorpion. Save me. Deidara howled miserably, but before she finished speaking, she saw countless rays of light continuously shuttle around her body. In just 1 second, Ye Shenyue threw out dozens of punches, and Deidara was thrown back and forth in the air, leaving almost no space for his body to stay. It's so strong. It's too strong. Scorpion gritted his teeth, stretched out his hook and caught Deidara's clothes directly, and then pulled him directly to his side. At this moment, Deidara was covered in blood, and his consciousness was blurred. After a long while, he reluctantly got up and coughed out 2 mouthfuls of blood. He raised his head, his eyes full of horror, so fast. This kind of powerful explosive power in an instant. Just 1 second makes me feel like a year. Is this a new art? Deidara took a deep breath, a dislocated arm drooped, and looked at Ye Shenyue. How on earth did you get this power? It's simply unbelievable. Advertisement. Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, clapped his hands and said, it's nothing, it's just that you were too weak. The scorpion stretched out its hook and landed on Deidara's body, and then with a click, it directly stuffed all the dislocated bones on Deidara's body back. For a split second, Deidara grinned again. The situation is not right, let's retreat first. Deidara looked at Scorpion, as if he was going to ask Scorpion for advice. Scorpion glanced at Deidara. If we go this time, Sunagaku may be on guard, and it will be too late for us to catch one tail. Today is a good time for us to catch 9 tails and 1 tail. Fei Liu who opened his arm, and shot out countless thousands of copies directly from his arm. These thousands of books are densely packed, and they are even countless times faster than the poisonous needles that were shot out from the mouth before. The poisonous needles all over the sky are constantly changing their trajectories, whether it is a point or a surface, they can take care of everything, and there is almost no room for people to hide. So fast. Even though Sasuke activated the Sharingan, he still couldn't analyze all the trajectories of Shinbun, but if he was hit, the poison was enough to kill him instantly. Seeing this, Naruto gritted his teeth fiercely, jumped up, stopped in front of Sasuke and Ye Shenyue, stretched out Chakra's arm and hit the ground. With a bang, a huge boulder was directly thrown out and stopped in front of the 3 of them. And countless thousands of books are constantly inserted on the stone, as if they can directly shoot through the stone at any time. Click. Countless fragments gradually fell off, and Naruto couldn't help but widen his eyes due to the posture. This is too much too fast. How did this guy pack so many thousands of copies in his hand? Advertisement. Sasuke glanced at Naruto, clutching his forehead, afraid of being stupid. This guy is probably a puppet. It is absolutely impossible for a normal person to be so weird. But Naruto ignored Sasuke's complaints, stretched out 2 chakras, tied them directly to the buildings on both sides, shouted loudly, and directly pulled the huge buildings in front of everyone, leaving the battlefield. Naturally, the Shinbun couldn't penetrate such a thick stone slab. After continuing to shoot for a while, the scorpion also stopped attacking. It's really interesting, it's just a bunch of jumping clowns. Fei Hu retracted her arms and nodded in disdain. However, the next moment, the ground under Fei Liuhu's feet instantly shattered. I saw that Naruto smashed the ground and jumped out from the ground, and the Wolf's 10 punches smashed on Fei Liuhu. Click. Fei Liuhu immediately flew upside down, then fell apart and turned into pieces. Is it dead? Naruto looked at the shattered crimson amber suspiciously. However, at this moment, a handsome red-haired man stood up slowly. Seeing that Fei Liuhu was smashed, Xie shook his head helplessly. It's really troublesome. Is this guy his real body? Sasuke frowned suspiciously. On the side, Ye Shenyue took out melon seeds from nowhere, and said while knocking, be careful. This guy is countless times more terrifying than before. Xie raised his head and looked at Ye Shenyue. It seems that you know my information very well, even Grandma Chio may not know so much. After a while, he chuckled. Forget it, these things are not important, as long as this Sharingan boy and the other kid are killed, 1 tail and 9 tails will be easy to deal with. Scorpion believed that it would not be a problem to deal with the 2 Jinchuriki with the strength of the 2 of them. Advertisement. It's just that these 2 guys must be killed first. Sasuke snorted coldly, stretched out his hand, and the thunder jumped between his fingers, like a toy. Chidori. Sasuke yelled loudly, turned on the Sharingan and stabbed fiercely towards the scorpion. The body of the puppeteer is very fragile. 160 now your tortoise shell to protect yourself is gone, and you are just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Sasuke let out a loud cry, and the power of the spell was poured into Chidori. And Xie waved his hand slightly, and the chakra line was instantly connected to Fei Liuhu's head beside him. It directly stopped in front of Sasuke, and shot out several poisonous needles from it again. What? Sasuke used the Sharingan to pierce through the trajectory of all the poisonous needles to barely escape, and a Chidori blasted directly on Fei Liuhu's head. With a click, Fei Liuhu's head shattered. And Sasuke was also panting heavily. A trace of fear appeared in his eyes. He never thought that this scorpion could even play with a puppet head to such an extent. And Deidara, who had rested, flew into the air again on the clay bird, put his hands down, and brought out a huge doll. C3 number 18. This move is enough to raise the entire Sunagaku to the ground. Deidara chuckled. Scorpion, I know you won't be killed by this move. I'm relieved. Scorpion raised his head and looked at Deidara dissatisfied. It seems that you want to blow me up to death. I know your purpose, and I will definitely fix you up when I go back. And Deidara made a grimace, and dropped number 18 directly to Asuka. I saw that number 18 continued to grow in size as it fell, and it expanded to the size of a house in just a while. Chapter 127 The Strongest Cage in History. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ye Shenyue gasped with a hiss. This bomb is probably capable of blowing up all of us. Sasuke was taken aback, and looked at Ye Shenyue. Then what should we do? How can we stop it? Ye Shenyue looked at Sasuke and smiled. Use the technique I told you to impale Deidara and this bomb together, and they will die. You mean, Kilin? Sasuke was taken aback, but I have never used this technique before. What if it fails? Don't push. Use it quickly. All right. Sasuke took a deep breath. His eyes gradually became clearer. A flash of lightning flashed out of his hand, and his palm pointed to the sky. Suddenly, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and lightning tore the sky, which seemed to be echoed by Sasuke. Fine chakra. As expected, using this ninjutsu on a sunny day is not only ineffective, but also consumes so much chakra. Sasuke frowned. Seeing Sasuke's embarrassment, Deidara laughed. I want to see what you are capable of. He didn't believe that this ninjutsu could directly chop himself off. After all, he has never heard of ninjutsu with the help of the power of nature. As for Sasuke wanting to solve himself directly with this trick, he also thinks it is impossible. Lien Xie snorted coldly. This kind of ninjutsu is just unimaginable. Advertisement. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw countless thunderbolts directly gathering in the sky to form a huge kilin. After roaring for a while, it turned into a thunder column and crashed down. Before hearing the sound of thunder, I saw the light of thunder first. I saw a huge pillar of thunder piercing through Deidara's body and the clay bird under him. As for the 18th, when it was about to explode, it was also penetrated with a bang. In an instant, it turned into a pool of mud and fell to the ground. But the thunder pillar still didn't stop, and directly hit the ground. Boom. Immediately exploded. The surrounding ground cracked inch by inch, and the surrounding buildings were turned into ruins and dust. Scorpion's eyes widened, and he stepped back again and again, seeing countless electric arcs attacking him continuously along the side wall like tarsal maggots. Deidara. Pipe exclamation mark quote. He hurriedly looked at Deidara, and saw Demira's body hit the ground directly. And Sasuke let out a sigh of relief, and lifted the curse seal 2 mode. Damn it, it actually consumed almost half of my chakra. But this power is enough. Seeing Kilin's power, Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Not bad, to be able to have such power. And Deidara's body was pierced with a huge hole, and even most of the internal organs disappeared for a moment. It was directly blasted into powder. Scorpion, run. Deidara gritted his teeth and tore off his shirt, exposing his mouth on his chest. When Scorpion sees Deidara, he also knows that Deidara cannot be saved, even if Kakuzu is here, revolving heaven is useless. Advertisement. Do you want to use that technique? Ye Shenyue frowned. And at this moment, Xie actually stopped in front of them. I am confident that I will not die under this move, and it is precisely because of this that I will not let you escape so easily. He opened his arms, and a steel knife popped out of his hand. Deidara's death naturally has some value. While Naruto gritted his teeth, the tail beast chakra kept leaking from the seal. With a loud shout, he directly activated the state of 6 tails. What? Scorpion was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Naruto now has such a powerful chakra that he can use. I saw Naruto turned into a red shadow with afterglow, ignored the scorpion directly, opened his palm, countless scarlet chakra condensed into sharp claws, and swept towards Deidara's body fiercely. No matter what, as long as I tear you apart, there is nothing else. Naruto gritted his teeth, but at this moment, he met Deidara and laughed. This is my ultimate art. My art is explosion. I saw his body slowly becoming transparent, condensing into a black shadow, as if it was about to explode. Too bad Naruto can't catch up. Ye Shenyue gritted his teeth. He squinted his eyes slightly, and in an instant his figure ran directly towards Deidara at the speed of light. Grabbed the last body of Deidara firmly, and then ran out of Sunagaku like desperately. No matter what, you can't let him explode here. In just a moment, he ran out to a range of several kilometers outside Sunagaku. His explosion radius is 10 kilometers. This is probably enough. Ye Shenyue gritted his teeth. He didn't know how long he had been running, but he knew that this distance should be enough. If it is farther away, it is simply too scary. And Deidara just felt a golden light flashing in front of his eyes, and found himself outside Sunagaku, but he didn't bother to pay attention to it, and directly exploded himself. I saw the shining light spread out, destroying everything along the way, whether it was dead trees or rocks, all of them were turned into dust and debris in an instant, leaving no residue. Advertisement. Backquote. FK. This explosion expands so fast. Ye Shenyue quickened his pace and ran back to Sunagaku in a hurry. At this time, a huge white pie daxing rose from behind, and the powerful shock wave even hit the wall of Sunagaku. With a bang, the wall of Sunagaku was directly shattered, and the explosion even annexed half of Sunagaku. Squad 7 and Scorpion could only retreat back and forth to escape the radius of the explosion. Until the explosion subsided, this half of Sunagaku had already turned into a cloud of dust. Ye Shenyue gasped, looks like I'm not fast enough, damn it. Men just need to hurry up. If he used full speed, he might have been able to throw Deidara far away, but he was too lazy to run, and half of Sunagaku was destroyed. Even the remaining half are all ruins promised ruins, and it seems that there are heavy casualties. Gaara's shell was shattered by the direct blast at this time, and his body also flew upside down, hitting the edge of Sunagaku. When he stepped on the sand and rose again, almost all of his eyes were full of panic. It actually destroyed half of the village. What kind of destructive power is this? Gaara's eyes widened, and she couldn't believe everything in front of her. And Xie stood on the ruins beside him, with an ugly expression on his face. I didn't expect that even Deidara can't kill you, it seems that you can only rely on me. Scorpion snorted coldly and took out a scroll. With a bang, he saw the Fengyin puppet being held directly by him, looking at everyone with cold eyes. Now let you see what my strongest human puppet looks like. Seeing the case cage puppet, Gaara's pupils immediately shrank to the tip of a needle. This is third case cage. The strongest case cage in history. Chapter 128 Puppet. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Seeing the wind shadow puppet, Gaara was silent for a moment. It was because of the disappearance of the third case cage that the Third Ninja World War was caused. The casualties were numerous. Seeing the case cage, Gaara seemed to understand something. It seems that you provoked the Ninja World War. What an irony. Xie smiled faintly. It's just fate. Fengyin can last forever in my hands. You may still have to thank me for this. And Naruto rushed up at this moment, facing the erosion of the tail beast chakra. The wolf punched the scorpion. And the scorpion manipulated the wind shadow puppet, using magnets to directly turn into a huge shield in front of itself. Magnet-style sand iron wall. There was a hint of contempt on Scorpion's face. And Naruto's fist hit the iron sand. There was only a bang, and then the iron sand sank back suddenly. However, the wall made of sand and iron is extremely tough, and Naruto's punch has not directly smashed the entire wall. Damn it! Naruto changed his fists into claws, and immediately several huge nails directly buckled on the sand iron wall, and suddenly countless tail beast chakra seeped out from the gap, directly pulling the entire 36 straight cards. It's interesting. Scorpion snorted coldly, and after manipulating the wind shadow puppet to form a seal, he shouted loudly, magnet-style sand iron shigur. Immediately, in the Sunagaku built on the desert, a large piece of sand and iron like a tide was called out, spreading directly. Countless sand and iron condensed into more magnetic needles, shooting towards Naruto. This sand and iron are covered with my toxins. If you scratch a little bit, you will definitely die. I have this confidence. Scorpion narrowed his eyes slightly, even if you are Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Looking at the countless magnetic needles, Gaara finally couldn't help but shoot, and countless sands were directly pierced on the ground to form a huge hill. Advertisement. The magnetic needle poked on the hill, like a fist hitting cotton, limp and powerless. And the next moment, the tailed beast chakra directly blasted the hill, and the orangutan red's fist slammed into the scorpion's body. Magnet-style sand iron realm. Scorpion shouted loudly, directly activating the strongest ninjutsu of his case cage puppet. Numerous puppets with a large number of long thorns formed in the air, constantly piercing and attacking in the space. For a target as big as Naruto, there is almost no room to dodge. Gaara exclaimed when she saw this move, this is case cage's strongest ninjutsu. I didn't expect this puppet to be able to use it. He hurriedly flew back, not wanting to be contaminated. Since it is a puppet, it must be poisonous, even this sand and iron world law is no exception. He has worked with Konkuro for so long, and he has common sense about this. And the chakra on Naruto's body spread out directly, turning into countless arms, rubbing out several Rasengan in an instant, and blasting fiercely on the surrounding sand iron thorns. But the attack became more and more fierce. Naruto couldn't stand it anymore, opened his mouth wide and said the tail beast cannon directly blasted out of the doctor. Immediately, half of the sand and iron world law was directly shattered by the bombardment, and countless dust shattered and fell to the ground. But more long thorns of sand and iron spread out, piercing towards Sasuke and Ye Shenyue. Sasuke hastily dodged the attack with the Sharingan and hid in the gap. And Ye Shenyue was directly penetrated through the body, lying on the ground. He clutched his chest, with a pained expression on his face, but a trace of mockery flashed in his eyes. Sure enough, seeing Ye Shenyue lying under the sand iron boundary law, Xie sneered, it would be nice to be able to deal with you first. W. The wind shadow puppet flew towards Ye Shenyue suddenly, and a huge magnet-style spear appeared in his hand. Advertisement. However, the moment the wind shadow puppet was about to touch Ye Shenyue stood up suddenly, his body passed through the long thorn, and the light on his hand condensed. Amazon Cloud Sword. Amidst the flashing golden light, Gold's long sword directly cut ACDF Case Cage's puppet like cutting tofu. With a click, the wind shadow puppet broke in two and lay on the side. Then the two halves exploded. Seeing the Fengyin puppet being destroyed, Xie was stunned for a moment. How is that possible? However, at the next moment, Ye Shenyue once again jumped in front of Xie holding the Tian Kongyan sword. Scorpion gritted his teeth fiercely, and several flames spewed out from his hand. The flames condensed together, extremely fierce, as if it could directly tear Ye Shenyue's body in half. However, what Ling Xie didn't expect was that the flame went directly through Ye Shenyue's body, and the Tian Kongyan sword in Ye Shenyue's hand still slashed at Scorpion's body. With a click, one of the Scorpion's arms was cut in half. Scorpion hurriedly jumped over, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. How is it possible? What kind of method is this? Could it be that there is a blood succession limit that I don't know about? It's really interesting. I want to make you into a puppet. A trace of excitement appeared in Scorpion's eyes. A hand stretched out in front of it, and a flame spewed out. With the help of the reaction force, the body retreated directly, as if it wanted to find a good position to continue the attack. But what he didn't expect was that Ye Shenyue appeared directly above his head again without knowing when. Advertisement. Oops. Scorpion gritted his teeth fiercely. It was too late to dodge. This speed is like an illusion. Speed is weight. Ye Shenyue suddenly kicked and hit Xie on the shoulder. The scorpion let out a muffled snort, and its body exploded on the spot. Half of his body was directly destroyed into pieces, and he gritted his teeth to save his life. Almost. The core is about to be destroyed. What the hell is this guy coming from? A trace of surprise flashed in Xie's eyes, but he never thought that this guy would have such unimaginable tricks. He reached for the scroll behind his back, but the next moment the Tiankongan sword flickered again. Click. The last arm of the scorpion is broken again. Your Shao organization is really interesting. Even a stinky fish like you can challenge Jinchuriki. Ye Shenyue's eyes flashed with contempt. But he still knew in his heart that it wasn't that his opponent was too weak. It was that he was too strong. Seeing Scorpion being beaten up by Ye Shenyue, Naruto also exclaimed, "Boss is too powerful." Now Naruto has removed the tailed beast coat, because he found that the next battle seems to be not his own. And the next moment, Tiankongyan's sword directly pierced Scorpion's chest. Purple's blood dripped down, and the scorpion froze in place. What's the use of transforming yourself into a puppet? It's just a dead person. Ye Shenyue sneered, watching Xie's eyes gradually lose their luster, and let go of Amakongyan's sword. Chapter 129 Picking Chidori with one finger. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. As the brilliance of the Tiankongyan sword gradually dissipated, the body of the scorpion also fell to the ground. Even at this time, he didn't even use his own 100 machine exercises, but was directly pierced through his chest by this sword. Too fast. Boss is too fast, Uzumaki Naruto said in surprise. Ye Shenyue glanced at Uzumaki Naruto with dissatisfaction. How can you judge a man quickly? It's too rude. HMPH. And at this moment, watching the two Akatsuki members who invaded Sunagakure die under the hands of the three of them, Gaara also gradually landed, by Ye Shenyue's side. 3 years have passed. Gaara naturally has not forgotten Ye Shenyue and Sasuke. He seemed a little surprised. I didn't expect that after 3 years, your strength has improved so much. Gaara knew that if it was him, even Deidara couldn't solve it. What's more, it's another red sand scorpion who doesn't have to be weak at all, or even worse than Deidara. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Harm. So what? It's still not enough to watch. But I guess the Shao organization will not let you go. Hearing the words Shao organization, Gaara frowned. What kind of guy is Shao organization? I always thought that it would not pose a threat to us, but now it seems that we are too careless. Even if it is strengthened, Sunagakure's half of the defense was directly destroyed. Gaara looked around at Sunagakure, and saw that more than half of this huge Sunagakure was almost directly destroyed, leaving only a small half still standing. Advertisement. Even the other half and a large part of the place are messy ruins. It is almost the same as the previous Sunagakure. It makes the already poor family worse. Ye Shenyue explained, the purpose of the Akatsuki organization is probably to collect tailed beasts, and you should be their first target, but our Konoha village also has 9 tails Jinchuriki. So we will be their target too. Quote. Then what about our Sunagakure and the Konoha alliance? Let's fight those nasty guys together. Gaara clenched her fists. This time Sunagakure simply suffered a heavy loss. If there is no longer an alliance, the opponent's next round of offensive can be said to be fatal. Ye Shenyue nodded slightly. I'm just a chunin. As for the matter of the alliance, it's better for you to have a direct dialogue with our 5th Hokage. I believe Konoha won't have any objections during this special period. Sasuke on the side frowned. It's not just Sunagakure. Other villages also have Jinchuriki tailed beasts. Does it mean that they are also the targets of this Akatsuki organization? Afterwards, his eyes darkened. If that's the case, I may meet Uchiha Itachi soon. After all, this damn guy is also a member of the Akatsuki organization. It seems that Uchiha Sasuke still hasn't forgotten Uchiha Itachi, and even the hatred for Uchiha Itachi has given Sasuke a lot of motivation in these 3 years. He is not like Uzumaki Naruto, who is stupid and sweet. Without this motivation, facing Ye Shenyue's pervert-level special training, he probably would have given up training a long time ago, and he doesn't know where to go to play. Ye Shenyue smiled and nodded. That's right, but if you want to defeat Uchiha Itachi with your current strength, it will probably take a while. It's better for us to continue to practice during this time. Advertisement. Then he turned to look at Gaara. Now we should go back quickly. The aftermath of Sunagakure's war will be left to you, Kazekage, and we will run away first. As soon as the words fell, I saw Ye Shenyue leading Sasuke and Naruto away towards Sunagakure. Looking at the backs of these 3 people, Gaara narrowed her eyes slightly. I originally thought that I would be ahead of them by becoming Kazekage, but in fact we are not as good as them. It seems that I still have to continue to work hard. The next day, after the turmoil in Sunagakure ended, Ye Shenyue went to the long-lost river, fishing leisurely. And Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto were lying on the ground with scars all over their bodies. Obviously they had just finished training. Ye Shenyue, when will we have enough power? Sasuke gritted his teeth and said dissatisfied. At this moment, Uzumaki Naruto smiled slightly. Sasuke, why are you in a hurry? I feel that our current strength is already good. Don't be so anxious. Then he straightened his forehead protector. His face became determined. Of course, this is not enough. But I believe we will become strong enough soon. Zero looking for flowers. Ye Shenyue turned around and looked at Naruto, and said approvingly, yes, your current strength may be very good, and you can even compete with Kakashi-sensei, but if you are complacent now, then you are too worthless. After that, he nodded Sasuke with his chin. If you don't believe me, attack me with all your might. Sasuke was taken aback, looked at his fist, and said doubtfully, are you serious? I'm afraid I'll beat you to death. Advertisement. Seeing Sasuke's serious face, Ye Shenyue's face was full of black lines. If you can kill me, I won't be called Ye Shenyue anymore. Attack me with all your strength if you can. If I can be hurt by you, just kill yourself here. Sasuke snorted coldly, a thunderbolt appeared in his hand, and a trace of murderous intent appeared in his eyes. In that case, Ye Shenyue, you are optimistic. How did I defeat you? As soon as the words fell, Sasuke activated the Sharingan and rushed towards Ye Shenyue in big strides. The powerful Chidori even cut through the ground directly, and countless dust and smoke were stirred up and shattered by the electric arc. It seems that its posture is really unstoppable. However, only Ye Shenyue himself knows that it is just a dream to kill him with just this kind of strength. No, you really think that you can kill me like this, right? Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly. If you want to deal with me with this level of strength, you're just asking for your own death. As soon as the words fell, Ye Shenyue slightly stretched out a finger. On the finger, the light condensed, and a layer of photons was attached to his whole body, which looked like a golden light. Even Naruto covered his eyes, and couldn't help feeling a little surprised. And that Sasuke's Chidori hit Ye Shenyue's finger with all his strength, and it didn't even make Ye Shenyue's body vibrate in the slightest. That's it. Ye Shenyue snorted coldly. Sasuke. You are still too young. You don't really think that you can kill me like this. How is it possible? Sasuke's eyes widened in surprise, and he couldn't believe everything in front of him for a moment. Your strength is so terrifying after all. Take Sasuke's Chidori Hisa with just one finger. Chapter 130 Meeting Hinata's Sister by Chance. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Is this your power? Sasuke was dumbfounded, took Chidori back, looked at Ye Shenyue who was continuing to fish, and hardly knew what to say. He didn't expect that his Chidori would not be able to make Ye Shenyue serious. It seems that I am really careless. Naruto saw that Ye Shenyue's finger actually stopped Sasuke's Chidori, sat up in surprise, and immediately grinned in pain again. He rubbed his wound and looked at Ye Shenyue and said, Boss. Can you teach me how to be as strong as you? As a companion who grew up together, Naruto knew that the gap between himself and Ye Shenyue was too great. He clenched his fists and blushed. If I can't be better than the boss, how can I be Hokage? His eyes also dimmed. 840. At this time, Hinata, Ino, and Shikamaru also came over. Shikamaru waved. Ye Shenyue. You are here too. Hinata also said with a reddish face, we just finished our mission and wanted to come here to play, but we met you unexpectedly. Did not think of. Advertisement. Seeing Hinata's shy appearance, Ye Shenyue choked up speechlessly. I have come here to fish almost every day for 3 years, but Hinata said that he didn't expect it. I'm afraid it's because I'm embarrassed to come to myself directly, and I just found a reason. Seeing a group of friends standing not far away, Ye Shenyue immediately showed a look of compassion. He patted Uzumaki Naruto's head, and said earnestly, Naruto, you are wrong. I was wrong. Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head in doubt. Why do you say that? Where did I go wrong? Sasuke also didn't understand what Ye Shenyue was talking about. It's not that you can become a Hokage with power, but you can become a Hokage with everyone's approval. Naruto, you have run counter to your original ideal from the very beginning. Hearing Ye Shenyue's words, Naruto suddenly felt thunderstruck. In an instant, Mao Sai suddenly realized. He slapped his thigh vigorously. That's right. Boss is so smart. I didn't even think of this. A trace of surprise flashed on his face again, and he clenched his fists full of fighting spirit. I must protect the village from that damn Akatsuki organization. Let everyone recognize me. Hinata on the side also put her hands on her chest, feeling the beating and ups and downs of her heart, and looked at Ye Shenyue with admiration. As expected of Mr. Ye Shenyue. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Everything he said made sense. Hey, low-key, low-key. Ye Shenyue waved his hand, and directly hugged Hinata into his arms. Advertisement. 3 years have passed, Hinata and Ino have grown more and more refined, and Ye Shenyue can't put it down. Okay, I heard that Sunagaku's case cage is coming to personally discuss the joint matter between Konoha and Sunagaku. Let's go and have a look. Shikamaru said to everyone, although this matter is very troublesome, let's go and see. It shouldn't be any good at first glance. That's right, let's go back. Sasuke said to Ye Shenyue as he put his things on his back. Ye Shenyue nodded slightly. Sure, let's go and have a look. However, one person had just taken 2 steps, and suddenly 2 people blocked his way. Who? Ye Shenyue frowned slightly. Who are you from? However, when Ye Shenyue saw the appearance of those 2 people clearly, he also took a deep breath. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame. Sasuke's eyes tightened, his whole body trembled, and kunai was pulled out of his hand. Uchiha Itachi, 3 years have passed, and you finally appeared again. And Uchiha Itachi smiled lightly. It seems that you are still alive. I really didn't expect it. I just want to see what skills you have. But at this moment, Ye Shenyue seemed to have noticed something. This chakra doesn't seem right. Ye Shenyue's observation Haki instantly sensed the strangeness of the matter. These 2 people seem to be clones instead of the main body. Avatar. Naruto wondered. No, how could it be an avatar? Uchiha Itachi smiled lightly. Whether it's a clone, you can see clearly in the next moment. He made seals with both hands and shouted loudly, fire-style great fireball technique. I saw a huge fireball condensed directly from Uchiha Itachi's mouth, with a force that could almost destroy everything, and spewed towards the group of people. Advertisement. Hey, although it is said that the opponent's chakra is not right, it is too much to say that he is a clone. Shikamaru widened his eyes, and quickly dodged the fireball, his face covered with cold sweat. Seeing the huge great fireball gushing towards him, Ye Shenyue just chuckled. This is indeed a clone, but it's not a normal clone, but an elephant clone. Although it only has 30% of the strength of the main body, it still cannot be underestimated. Look. That is to say, but the opponents are also Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame, so you can't be careless. Elephant turn clone. Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, then snorted coldly, what a coward. How dare you only send clones to deal with us? And looking at the giant great fireball, Sasuke gritted his teeth fiercely, pulled out the Kusanagi sword, poured lightning-style chakra into it, and slashed fiercely with the sword. I saw that the huge fireball was cut in half by Sasuke. It's ridiculous. Seeing that he easily cracked Uchiha Itachi's human ninjutsu, Sasuke also sneered, and instantly opened Sharingan. Immediately, every move of the opponent was under the control of Uchiha Itachi. You guy, although I only have 30% of my strength, it's still enough to deal with you. Uchiha Itachi stood still, letting Uchiha Sasuke slash with his sword. The moment the Kusanagi sword struck Uchiha Itachi's body, his body instantly turned into countless crows 0.0 and flew around. And the crows gathered together again, turning into the appearance of Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke looked back in astonishment, and saw Uchiha Itachi appear behind him. You are really just a younger brother. After 3 years, you still can't see any progress. As soon as the words fell, Uchiha Itachi punched Sasuke hard, and Sasuke raised his arm hurriedly, feeling a sudden numbness in his arm, and his body retreated again and again. How is it possible? Only 30% of the strength has such great power. Sasuke was stunned for a moment, seeming a little surprised. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. That's because you didn't go all out. If you go all out, an elephant-turned avatar of Uchiha Itachi is definitely not your opponent. Hee. That's right. Sasuke sneered, and the curse seal gradually attached to his body. Chapter 131 Kisame's Water Style. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This chakra. Shikamaru was a little surprised. It's so cold. How strange. Shikamaru seldom saw Uchiha Sasuke use the curse seal, but this time, he was really surprised. And Sasuke sneered, thunder flashed in his hand, and pressed a Chidori fiercely to Uchiha Itachi's body. Uchiha Itachi looked helpless when he saw Sasuke's Chidori. My purpose is just to stop you. Since you want to waste time on me, I have no choice but to play with you. The dried persimmon ghost shark on the side also smiled. Their mission is simply to stop Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke. Now Gaara is about to arrive at Konoha, and they sent members of Akatsuki to prepare to capture one-tail Shukaku, namely Gaara. That being the case, they naturally had to find a way to delay the time, and in their eyes, Ye Shenyue and others were even more difficult. What's more, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is still here, and there are so many masters in the leaves, they don't feel at ease doing their hands among the leaves. They had no choice but to capture Gaara outside, and when the time came, they would directly pull out the O2 shrine crane from Gaara's body, and then attack Nine-Tails. Uchiha Itachi and Kisame will also join in as an important battle at that time, so they choose to reserve their strength first and hold them back with bishop clones. Seeing Sasuke's high-spirited appearance, Kanshi Kisame was even more happy. He just hoped that they would fight, and as long as they could weaken their strength at that time, they could capture all 9 tails and 1 tail in one go. And Sasuke kept running towards Uchiha Itachi. At the same time, the power of his curse seal was activated one after another for just a short moment, and he would directly enter the second stage of the curse seal. Uchiha Itachi himself was a little surprised when he saw the wings spread out behind him. Advertisement. Using Orochimaru's power to such an extent. How is this possible? Uchiha Itachi narrowed his eyes slightly. In an instant, 2 clones appeared beside Uchiha Itachi, and then rushed towards Sasuke together. And Sasuke directly ignored this clone of Uchiha Itachi. Facing this kind of attack, he didn't pay attention at all. In the past 3 years, I have fantasized countless times that I can defeat you, but in the end you only chose to face me with your clone. If I can't even defeat your clone, how can I defeat the real you in the end? Sasuke gritted his teeth fiercely, his body was full of fighting spirit. In just a short moment, the 2 clones came in front of Sasuke and exploded. Avatar explosion. Countless smoke and dust surged directly, but suddenly a figure rushed directly into the midair. I saw Sasuke flying into the air, and then stretched out Chidori's thrust downwards fiercely. Under the urging of the power of the curse seal, Chidori's color also turned into a pitch black color, which made people feel shuddering. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Uchiha Itachi shouted loudly. A huge Fuma Shuriken appeared in Uchiha Itachi's hand, and then flew towards Sasuke. In midair, countless shurikens appeared directly, flying in all directions, with almost no gaps. 1,000 birds flow. Sasuke shouted loudly, and countless lightning arcs exploded from his body instantly. All the Fumo shurikens shattered and exploded into pieces. In the next second, Sasuke's Chidori pierced directly through Uchiha Itachi's chest. Uchiha Itachi looked at Sasuke, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. It seems that your growth is much more exaggerated than I imagined. You are worthy of it. Uchiha Itachi chuckled, but you still have my eyes, and you are not worthy of being killed by me. Advertisement. Sasuke snorted coldly, knowing that the eyes in Uchiha Itachi's mouth were Mangekyo Sharingan. Although Sasuke didn't activate the Mangekyo Sharingan at this moment, he didn't feel the slightest impatience. After this battle is over, I will definitely pay a visit to let you see whether my eyes are stronger or yours. Sasuke pulled out his arm, and Uchiha Itachi fell to the ground. The next moment, countless dust dispersed, and Uchiha Itachi became a Konoha shinobi of common. It's really cruel to use Konoha's ninja as a sacrifice. Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly. Seeing that Uchiha Itachi was defeated by himself, Sasuke sneered for a while, and the fighting spirit in his eyes became brighter. It's like a sky full of stars. In the past 3 years, Uchiha Itachi has been like a shadow in Sasuke's eyes. Now defeating Uchiha Itachi's avatar is also a good thing for Uchiha Sasuke. Seeing Sasuke's appearance, Ye Shenyue felt very relieved. Seeing Uchiha Itachi being beheaded, Kisame also snorted coldly. Don't forget, this is by the river. Kisame immediately appeared behind Shikamaru, as if he wanted to attack Shikamaru first. Damn, the first target turned out to be me. Shikamaru gritted his teeth, hurriedly stuck a detonating talisman on the ground, and then stepped back. Boom. Dust and smoke are surging. As the fire exploded, Kisame slapped Lee's body again. Water-style water prison technique. Advertisement. I saw an ellipsoidal water prison directly enveloping Shikamaru's whole body, and Shikamaru struggled twice, only to find that it was futile. Is this the power of the Akatsuki organization? I simply underestimated you. Shikamaru gritted his teeth and struggled one after another. Kisame chuckled. Even if you defeat this clone now, Gaara will only be a dead person by then. You can just watch it. Shikamaru. Ino saw that Shikamaru was under control, exclaimed, and hurriedly made several kunai towards Ghost 543. Facing kunai, Kisame just raised Samahata, and then slashed it away. Kunai all shattered in response. Seeing this appearance, Sasuke himself gasped, with a serious expression on his face. He originally thought that Uchiha Itachi was enough trouble, but now it seems that Kisame is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Gaara. It seems that Gaara is a bit dangerous. Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, and then his figure turned into a flash of light. He punched Ghost Shark hard. But I'm not an easy character to deal with. I saw Kisame's body bursting apart, turning into countless streams of water and bursting apart. Water body. When is it? Shikamaru's eyes tightened. Could it be when I used the detonating talisman just now? The water dungeon was broken. Shikamaru was lying on the ground wet, looked at Ye Shenyue and gritted his teeth and said, Ye Shenyue, thank you very much. At this moment, Guishui appeared in front of everyone again. He looked at everyone and just smiled. Water-style 1,000 food sharks. Immediately, I saw countless shark-shaped water bombs condensing around Guishong, each with a ferocious face, and it seemed that it was not easy to deal with. I didn't expect Shinshyu to feel so oppressive after being castrated by turning into a clone. Ye Shenyue raised his eyebrows. Chapter 132 Shisui can't beat you even in a blink of an eye. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Although the dried persimmon ghost in front of everyone is just an elephant clone, but it also has 1/3 of the strength of the main body. And Shinshisha is a powerful ninjutsu, which still gives everyone an unparalleled sense of oppression despite being weakened layer by layer. Seeing the shark-shaped water bombs around him continuously condense, Hinata couldn't help taking a half step back, and said in surprise, the opponent's strength is so powerful. Will we be his opponent? Where is this? Ye Shenyue picked Naruto with his chin. Naruto. UFK me. Naruto was taken aback, and pointed to himself in disbelief. Boss. You said let me do it. Am I going to die? Ye Shenyue became furious and kicked Naruto's ass. Bang. Naruto landed in front of Hoshigaki Kisame sprawled out. If I tell you to go, you will go. Is it possible that I will let you die? Don't worry, even if you are dying, I will save you. Hearing Ye Shenyue's encouragement, Naruto gritted his teeth, and the seal on his stomach was slowly released, and the tail beast chakra leaked out from it. I saw that a layer of tail beast coat was directly attached to him, and in a short moment, he was in the state of 3 tails. Looking at the tail beast coat of Naruto 3 tails, the dried persimmon ghost smiled. I didn't expect that you, 9 tails Jinchuriki, are more interesting than 1 tail Jinchuriki, and you can already control the tail beast chakra so skillfully, but it's a pity, in my case you are just doing nothing in front of me. As soon as the words fell, the 1,000 food jiao rushed towards Naruto. The water spray all over the sky was rolled up directly, and hundreds of shark-shaped water bombs rushed out of it. At this moment, Sasuke was still using the Sharingan to constantly analyze the opponent's strength. In just a short moment, he took a breath. This is only 1/3 of the strength, and it can control hundreds of sharks in the water. Bomb. The power of this monster is really terrifying. Advertisement. You must know that this is just an elephant-turned clone. The power of Hoshigaki Kisame's body must be even more terrifying. Shikamaru also said worriedly, Naruto, can you? He's an S-rank ninja. Don't take it lightly. Naruto also knew that this dried persimmon ghost, like Uchiha Itachi, was an S-level rebellious ninja, and his strength should not be underestimated. But remembering Ye Shenyue's teaching before, Naruto gritted his teeth, and a trace of fighting spirit flashed in his eyes. Boss said, I can become a Hokage only if I am recognized by everyone. How can I become a Hokage if I can't even protect my companions behind me? A trace of blood flickered in his scarlet fox vertical pupils, and his whole body turned into a scarlet lightning, rushing towards the countless shark-shaped water bombs that filled the sky. At this moment, Naruto made seals with both hands and shouted loudly, multiple shadow clone technique. In the next second, dozens of shadow clone rushed out, wrapped in the tailed beast coat, and simultaneously rubbed out countless Rasengan. Spiral ball. Naruto shouted loudly, and directly inserted a Rasengan into a shark-shaped water bomb. Bang. Water-style water body. The shark-shaped water bomb shattered instantly, turning into countless sprays and spraying them to the ground. Ye Shenyue yelled loudly, and kicked this clone fiercely. Good idea. Ye Shenyue chuckled, but it's a pity, you underestimated my speed. Flash kick. The photons on Ye Shenyue's legs condensed, and he swept towards the dried persimmon ghost with a fierce kick. Advertisement. In the next second, Ye Shenyue's body trembled slightly, and then Kisame saw the remaining 4 clones behind him explode. Bang. At this moment, Kisame finally couldn't hold back anymore and exclaimed, this speed. Even Konoha's Shisui is probably hard for you to move to the right. At this moment, Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, and then flashed in front of Naruto. Several streams of water emerged from behind Hoshigaki Kisame, and 5 bodies of water sprang out from Hoshigaki Kisame's body. A ray of light suddenly appeared, the dazzling and fiery light with a long trail, appeared directly behind this clone. And Ye Shenyue let out a cold snort, and ruthlessly swept Ganshi Guixie's body with his leg. And more clones followed suit, constantly rushing towards the shark-shaped water bomb. A clone opened its hands, anticipating Ye Shenyue's direction, as if preparing to trap Ye Shenyue immediately. Backquote. Damn it, there are not many chakra in this body. Kisame squinted his eyes slightly. I originally wanted to use this ninjutsu to kill you directly, but now it seems that we may have to wait a while before we can catch this nine-tails imp. And Sasuke looked at Naruto's back, and the corner of his mouth was slightly raised. This guy really has some skills. I saw that the shark-shaped water bomb directly swallowed Naruto's chakra arm, and then expanded a lot. The dried persimmon ghost shark was directly kicked into pieces, and smashed to the ground twisted and crooked. In just a few seconds, all the shark-shaped water bombs Hoshigaki Kisame summoned burst apart at this moment. Water prison technique. Advertisement. Turned into a stream of water and drifted away. And Ye Shenyue showed a trace of teasing in his eyes. It is true that the water body can recover slowly, but unfortunately, the recovery speed is not enough. Naruto landed on the ground, with a trace of firmness in his eyes. Hey, it's not so easy for you to want my life. Speed is weight. Looking at the huge shark-shaped water bomb that has at least doubled in size, Naruto gritted his teeth and kept thinking about countermeasures. How is it possible? There is still such an operation. Naruto was taken aback for a moment. He did not expect that this big shark technique could still devour chakra. Amidst the flashing golden light, the seemingly unstoppable shark-shaped water bomb was cut in half. Hey, this ninjutsu is a chakra that can devour you. Now I want to see if your chakra is up to par. Kisame smiled viciously, as if Naruto had already become a corpse. Naruto stretched out the tailed beast chakra, turned into an arm and pinched directly towards Hoshigaki Kisame. At this speed, even Kisame couldn't help exclaiming, it's so fast. Even I can't see clearly. Oh how, maybe only Itachi's Sharingan can see through his speed. Kisame squinted his eyes slightly. He didn't think that Naruto had this ability at first, but now he really looked down on his opponent. With a bang, countless water splashes splashed, and this avatar was directly kicked and exploded. Big shark bomb technique. Kisame suddenly called out a huge shark-shaped water bomb and bombarded Naruto. Tiankongyan sword. A light appeared in his hand, twisted into a long sword, and there was a loud shout, and the light of the sword fell down. Chapter 133 Gaara taken away. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Watch Kisame's body disintegrate into pieces and revert to Konoha Shinobi's appearance. This guy is simply too difficult to deal with. He can also absorb human chakra. Naruto gritted his teeth while looking at the corpse in front of him. In the end, it was Ye Shenyue who defeated the opponent. Sasuke glanced at Naruto and didn't complain. Because he also knows that this opponent's strength is indeed a bit weird, at least for now Sasuke has not found a way to easily deal with the opponent. Perhaps it is really necessary to find a physical master to deal with this pervert that can absorb chakra. And Ino and Hinata immediately surrounded Ye Shenyue, asking this and that worriedly. Mr. Ye Shenyue, how are you? Are you okay? Ino touched Ye Shenyue's hand distress-edly. And Hinata held Ye Shenyue's clothes with her lips pursed, and said timidly, Mr. Ye Shenyue, if you have anything to do, please remember to tell me. Only Ye Shenyue looked at the two of them speechlessly, and shook his head. I'm thinking too much about killing an opponent like this, you don't have to worry at all. Shikamaru also walked over with his pockets in his pockets, and said in surprise, it's the first time I've seen you make a move in 3 years, I didn't expect you to be so strong, it seems that you practiced 303 very hard this year. Sasuke on the side covered his face, and said in a trembling voice, work hard with a hammer. This grandson fishes by the river every day, or sleeps, who knows how he became so strong. Advertisement. Thinking of this, the corners of Sasuke's mouth twitched. If Ye Shenyue hadn't been training him like hell every day for the past 3 years, maybe he would be far from what he is now. And Shikamaru sighed again, and said, brothers, we can't rest here yet, don't forget they said Gaara was stopped by Akatsuki outside Konoha. The next moment, his eyes tightened, if Gaara is caught, the next one will be Naruto, so we can't take it lightly, we have to inform Konoha village as soon as possible. Sasuke frowned slightly, but when Konoha's reinforcements arrive, Gaara is probably dead. We'd better go and see now. Go and see, our strength is probably not enough, Choji said worriedly. At this time, Ye Shenyue made a suggestion. He crossed his arms and said to everyone, Sasuke, Naruto, go to stop the Akatsuki people. As for you ACDG, go and inform Konoha village. Send reinforcements as soon as possible. We will also try to hold back, they better save Gaara. But Hinata shook her head and said, Mr. Ye Shenyue, it's too dangerous to say something like that, we can't let it go. Although they defeated the two Shangzuan avatars, it must be known that this avatar is only 1/3 of the real body. And they were in a panic when facing these 3 clones. If they were to deal with the real members of the Akatsuki organization, I don't know how many people they would die. Ye Shenyue patted Hinata's head dotingly, and said softly, Little Hinata, of course you don't have to worry about us, we have killed 2 Akatsuki members anyway, and if there are 2 more, we will naturally not pay attention to it. Inside. Then he looked at Hinata and Ino, tilted his head and smiled slightly, and said in a calm voice, if we come back alive, I promise to treat you to Ichiraku ramen. This is of course Ye Shenyue's heartfelt words, but it seems that the taste has changed in the ears of these people, and they all show embarrassment. Because in their ears, it seems that this is to comfort them. Ye Shenyue was also speechless, and at the same time realized that her words were indeed a bit misleading. Advertisement. He shook his head, and hurriedly took Sasuke and Naruto for a walk. Looking at the backs of Ye Shenyue and Sasuke, Hinata, Ino and others showed a trace of worry in their eyes. Hinata's hands trembled, and he seemed to be trying to chase after him. Wait, Shikamaru hastily stopped Hinata, although you are not in our class, I also suggest that we should report the situation to Konoha and now you are facing. This level of combat will only. Shikamaru hesitated for a moment, then lowered his voice, it will only become a burden. Is it a burden? Hinata gritted her teeth, she clenched her fists, and then there was a trace of determination in her eyes. Looking at the direction Ye Shenyue was leaving, she made up her mind and said, Mr. Ye Shenyue, I will definitely work harder to practice. I must become a girl who can stand up at critical moments. Far away, a piece of Qingshi, Kisame and Uchiha Itachi sat cross-legged on it, and at this moment, they opened their eyes together. Will I finish you here? Uchiha Itachi looked at Hoshigaki Kisame next to him. Hoshigaki Kisame nodded. In the end, chakra ran out and got caught in the loophole, but we should have held them back. That's good. Uchiha Itachi smiled slightly. Kakuzu, Hidan and the others should have succeeded in catching Gaara at this time, and now we go to support them and they may be able to block Naruto by then. It turned out to be like this. Kisame laughed slyly. You purposely revealed the news to attract them. Mr. Itachi, I respect you more and more. Advertisement. Uchiha Itachi shook his head with a smile. I want to see with my own eyes how much this kid has grown. At this moment, Hoshigaki Kisame was a little puzzled, looked at Uchiha Itachi and said, Mr. Itachi, why do you value Uchiha Itachi so much? Why do you want to keep his life? It seems that you have countless opportunities to kill him in these 3 years. Uchiha Itachi chuckled. This is the secret of the Uchiha clan. Let's carry out the mission first. At this time, Kakuzu sits on a rock. Behind him are countless corpses of Sunagaku ninjas and Konoha village ninjas. He looked bored, took out a stack of banknotes, pouted his fingers, and began to count the banknotes. After a few minutes, he stopped his hands and stood up slowly. In front of him, there were 3 people standing at this moment. It was Ye Shenyue, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto looked at the corpses on the ground, his eyes widened unconsciously, and he said in surprise, how is it possible? So many people died. Didn't see Gaara. Sasuke opened Sharingan in shock. And Kakuzu stood up slowly, twisted his neck and made a clicking sound. He said to the 3 of them in a joking tone, you mean Gaara? He has been brought back by Hidan, and now I am waiting for you. After that, he snorted, and the chakra on his body spread directly. Has Gaara been taken away already? Ye Shenyue gritted her teeth. Chapter 134 Immortal Kakuzu. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. We're late. Damn it. Sasuke gritted his teeth, looked at Kakuzu and said, who are you? Where was Gaara taken? Kakuzu snorted coldly, pulled the red cloud robe on himself, and said, Kakuzu of the Akatsuki organization is just Kakuzu. As for Gaara, he will become a corpse soon. But before that, I have to catch 9 tails. Looking at 9 tails, Kakuzu chuckled, yes, 9 tails. Damn it, definitely kill him. Naruto gritted his teeth, then asked him where did Gaara go. Kakuzu smiled slyly, and then formed a seal with both hands, fire style head hard. I saw a flame suddenly turned into a sea of flames, and in an instant, the flames surged into the sky and reached the sky. The speed at which the sea of flames spread was even beyond Sasuke's expectation, and it spread tens of meters in just 1 second. What a powerful fire style. Stronger than me. Sasuke's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe everything in front of him. He never thought that someone would be able to use this fire style. At this moment, he just felt that he had refreshed his 3 view. What an old monster. It's just, you can't be careless. Ye Shenyue gritted her teeth, held Tien Kongyan's sword in her hand, and slashed away with a fierce blow. In an instant, although it seemed to be just an ordinary sword, in an instant, the light burst and shattered. A huge gold light was cut out so fiercely, it seemed to be able to compete with this sea of flames at first glance. The light and fire collided together, and chakra's power twisted together, annihilated continuously. It exploded with a bang. Advertisement. A wave of air and mixed flames suddenly roared and rolled around. On the ground, you can only see a mess left behind. So strong. There is such a powerful guy. I didn't even guess it myself. What kind of background is this person? Naruto's eyes widened, he could hardly believe his opponent's strength. Kakuzu watched his attack being diffused in this way, and smiled lightly. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful move. I really miss you, who can fight such a big battle. The last time I saw it was when I was fighting first Hokage. I really miss it. Kakuzu twisted his arms, and the murderous intent in his eyes became more dignified. Have you ever fought against first Hokage? Sasuke's pupils constricted, as if he couldn't believe it. This guy looks about the same age as teacher Asuma, how is that possible? Ye Shenyue shook his head. This man has the secret art of resentment, he can devour other people's hearts to prolong his life. Don't underestimate him. Then Su Sheng said, although I just threw a shuriken 800 meters away, and was chased and killed by wood clone of first Hokage for 3 days and 3 nights, but it is still a bit of a skill. Huh, Kakuzu tilted his head, and there was a big question mark in his small head. Where did the rumor come from? Why didn't I know about it? Then he straightened his face slightly, and said, however, you are still a bit interesting, you know so much information about me, it seems that you are not an ordinary ninja. Ye Shenyue chuckled, each to each other. And Naruto couldn't hold back for a long time, and now he just wants to save Gaara. Before Ye Shenyue gave the order, he saw Uzumaki Naruto and hit him directly. Rasengan. Rasengan was held by Uzumaki Naruto and pressed hard towards Kakuzu's chest. Kakuzu didn't back down at all, but his body became very handsome and black. Earth-style Earth Spear technique. Advertisement. And Rasengan slammed into Kakuzu's body without even causing Kakuzu a little damage. What's going on? Why can't my Rasengan hurt him? Uzumaki Naruto was stunned for a moment, and then saw Kakuzu kick Uzumaki Naruto hard. Naruto flew upside down, hit the ground and rolled for several meters before stopping his body. In the next second, Ye Shenyue kicked hard at his chest, and Kakuzu jumped back after receiving an arm, narrowing his eyes slightly. You little brat, you are more difficult to deal with than I imagined. Kakuzu backed up several meters, a trace of astonishment appeared in Naoshi's eyes. Kakuzu let out a muffled grunt and fell directly to the ground. Sasuke nodded, and at the same time squeezed the Chidori in his hand. It's not that simple, Ye Shenyue said lightly. How could it be? Kakuzu was stunned for a moment, and just wanted to fight back, but Ye Shenyue didn't give him a chance to fight back. Sure enough, Kakuzu soon got up again. Hold tight. I thought Nine Tails was such a powerful guy. It turned out to be just a brat. Kakuzu patted the ashes on his body. I really don't know how Deidara and Scorpion died at your hands. Quote. Bang. No way, no way. Can't even the earthen spear hurt me. Even though I used armament hockey, I didn't seriously hurt him, so he still has the strength to brag here. Blood splatter. As soon as the words fell, Ye Shenyue punched Kakuzu hard. The earth spear technique on his body also dissipated quickly. A thunderbolt roared and smashed directly towards Sasuke, and Kakuzu looked at Sasuke with a trace of contempt in his eyes. Advertisement. He raised his head, his body was covered in dust, and he was even a little stunned for a moment. Just died like that. Sasuke was taken aback, he didn't expect Kakuzu to climb up so easily. Phew, lightning style, pseudo-dark. I want to see if your earth spear is stronger or my armament hockey is stronger. Kakuzu looked at Ye Shenyue and smiled. Even if you know that lightning style ninjutsu can restrain me, what's the use? You can't get close to me in front of me. Facing this thunder column, Ye Shenyue just smiled lightly, and put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. And Ye Shenyue chuckled, seeing a black gold luster slowly attached to his body. Chidori, Sasuke yelled, and a Chidori directly inserted into Kakuzu's body. And Ye Shenyue smiled, this is really powerful. Sasuke, use your Chidori to deal with him. His earth spear technique is earth style ninjutsu, as long as you restrain him with lightning style, you can cause substantial damage to him. Kakuzu also threw a punch, but was directly caught by Ye Shenyue with one hand. Sasuke nodded, and then condensed Chidori in his hands. Armament hockey. His eyes also gradually lost their luster. Break one of my hearts. Interesting one. Kakuzu froze for a moment, and saw Sasuke and Ye Shenyue appearing behind him. The next moment, the thunder pillar passed through the afterimages of the two of them, and hit the stone behind them. The stone exploded and turned into dust. Chapter 135 Crazy-Tailed Beast Cannon. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Kakuzu patted the dust off his body, and his eyes gradually became colder. Only at this time did he really pay attention to the three brats in front of him. It was unexpected for Kakuzu to be able to break open one of his own hearts. How could it be? I obviously aimed at his heart. Sasuke looked shocked. He looked at his palm in disbelief. He clearly remembered that he definitely pierced his heart. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly. You did penetrate his heart, but this guy has more than one heart. His grievances can devour other people's hearts, and he has 5 hearts. That's right, it seems that you know a lot about my grievances. Kakuzu chuckled, it's impossible for you to kill me. As for me, I just need to deal with this Nine-Tails siege. Night God. 790. Month, what are we going to do now? Sasuke looked at Ye Shenyue and asked seriously. Let Naruto deal with him enough. Ye Shenyue gave a smirk, and then formed a mudra with one hand. With a click, Naruto trembled all over. Boss, what are you doing? Naruto howled miserably, and saw chakra constantly leaning out from the seal on his stomach. Let you deal with Kakuzu. Do I still have to beat your back? I saw Naruto's body, and the dirty chakra was directly attached to his body. Naruto's cry also gradually turned into a beast's roar. Advertisement. Hey, Ye Shenyue, just let him get into this state directly, why do you have to tamper with the seal? Naruto will lose consciousness in this way. Sasuke looked at Ye Shenyue hastily, and then Sharingan stared at Naruto firmly, for fear that Naruto would rush towards him directly. Ye Shenyue comforted from the side, don't be afraid. If Naruto retains his consciousness, he won't use his full strength. The current Naruto is his most powerful state. Then he looked serious, besides, I will always keep an eye on him. I will never let him go berserk suddenly. You can rest assured. As soon as the words fell, Naruto let out a roar, and the 6 tails on his back stood up, and he lay on the ground and let out a beast roar. Little cat, let me see what you are capable of. Kakuzu snorted coldly and raised his hand. Wind style. Oppression. I saw a gust of wind pressing down on Naruto with an unparalleled crazy offensive. Even Sasuke on the side gritted his teeth and stood firmly on the ground so as not to be affected. No way. Is it so powerful? Sasuke was taken aback, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. But Naruto didn't seem to be affected in the slightest, his body was like a red afterimage, and he rushed towards Kakuzu with a fierce attack that was almost impossible to avoid. Is it okay to crush? Kakuzu was slightly taken aback, just about to use ninjutsu again, but saw Naruto rushing behind him with an almost distorted speed. At the same time a claw pierced Kakuzu's chest again. Kakuzu hurriedly stomped his foot on the ground hard, and jumped up to get rid of Naruto. Water Style's heart is gone. Kakuzu's pupils constricted immediately, and he knew the seriousness of the matter. He let out a loud cry, and saw Kakuzu's body split apart, connected by countless black silk threads. Almost no blood or tissue can be seen from the fracture, and 3 big guys came out of his body. Advertisement. The 3 masked monsters lay beside Kakuzu. At this moment, Kakuzu chuckled, when you die, I will take your heart away. To replenish my heart. As soon as the words fell, he formed seals with both hands. I saw that the Fire Style mask and the Hefengdun mask used violent ninjutsu at the same time. Wind Style oppression and Fire Style head painstakingly merged together directly. The fire takes advantage of the wind, and the wind boosts the power of the fire. In an instant, a violent wave of fire presses towards Naruto with an almost suffocating temperature. Compared with Naruto's body, this fire wave is like a tall titan. Can Naruto do it? Sasuke was also a little excited at this time, he wanted to use Kilin to help Naruto block this blow. But Ye Shenyue stopped him. Looking at Sasuke, Ye Shenyue also shook his head. Don't worry, this guy has thick skin and thick flesh. And Naruto opened his mouth wide, only to see a tail beast cannon directly sprayed out of his mouth. The ominous chakra condensed in Naruto's mouth and turned into a dim red pillar of blood, which directly hit the fire wave. The fire wave was directly pierced and split apart abruptly. And the tail beast cannon that Naruto was talking about was still blasting at Kakuzu. Kakuzu seemed to be able to see at this time that the strength of the opponent could hardly be described by common sense. So strong. So fast. It's interesting. Kakuzu snorted coldly and jumped out of the tail cannon. I saw the tail beast cannon directly exploded on the hill behind, and immediately the whole mountain was blown to pieces. And the next moment, a tail beast cannon hit Kakuzu's body abruptly. For a moment, Kakuzu's expression seemed to be a little distorted, he howled miserably, and fell to the ground blackened all over. Advertisement. At this time, Lightning Styles' mask also shattered. Have another heart been broken? Kakuzu gritted his teeth. Replenish the heart at any time, the most urgent task now is to get rid of you. I saw that Fire Styles' heart spewed out a flame again, and Uzumaki Naruto looked at the flame and went straight to meet it. The tail beast chakra on his body directly cut off the flames, even Kakuzu didn't expect the attack to be so fierce. It's even harder to deal with than her way. Kakuzu gritted his teeth, but it was too late just as he wanted to dodge. I saw Naruto jumping directly on Kakuzu's body and pressing Kakuzu to the ground. Kakuzu wanted to struggle, but Naruto stretched out countless chakra arms from behind, holding Kakuzu down. In Kakuzu's eyes, only 5.6 Naruto's hideous face can be seen. Facing Kakuzu, Naruto opened his mouth wide, and once again a tail beast cannon blasted out. It exploded with a bang. But it's not over yet. Facing Kakuzu's body, Naruto yelled countless tail beast cannons, and even the whole earth trembled. The surrounding ground is cracked and turned into pieces. And Kakuzu's other two hearts also withered at this moment. At this time, Kakuzu was already dead, but Naruto, who ran away, did not let Kakuzu go. When Naruto let go of Kakuzu's arms, Kakuzu's whole body was directly blasted to pieces. What a tragedy. Hey! Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly, forming a seal with his hands, and immediately countless golden lights spread from the seal on Naruto's stomach. It turned into a rope and directly bound Naruto, who was on the verge of violence. Chapter 136 Why did Sasuke get beaten again? Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The golden light spreading from the stomach directly turned into countless ropes, binding Naruto in an instant. Naruto struggled for a moment but found it was useless. Even cage-level strength is useless in front of this sealing technique. Naruto, you should not waste your efforts. Ye Shenyue burst into a smirk, as if he had forgotten that he had untied the Naruto seal. After a while, the tailed beast chakra directly retracted into Naruto's body, and Naruto also heaved a sigh of relief, lying on the ground. He was sweating profusely, his eyes were empty, and it took more than 10 seconds before he regained consciousness. Boss, how's it going? Where's Kakuzu? Naruto gritted his teeth and looked around but couldn't find Kakuzu. Ye Shenyue shrugged, and tapped Kakuzu's remaining two arms with his chin. No. Kakuzu is here, you are so awesome, you almost blasted Jongdu to pieces. Naruto looked at the two arms on the ground, and touched his head in embarrassment, but we don't know where Gaara is now, I think Gaara will be in danger. Ye Shenyue nodded, that's right, there is indeed a possibility of danger. It's better for us to catch up quickly. I don't worry about Gaara now. Kakuzu didn't say where Gaara was transported before. According to Kakuzu's foot strength, he might run far away with Gaara on his shoulders. Sasuke also showed a trace of anxiety on his face. Anyway, this time it happened in the land of fire. Although they have tried their best, it is still inevitable that there will be some gaps. But before the three people walked away, they saw two people appearing behind them. It is Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame. Advertisement. It seems to be over. Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan looked at the three of Ye Shenyue, and then looked at the messy battlefield and Kakuzu's arm not far away. The ring on his hand is enough to prove Kakuzu's identity. Hoshigaki Kisame was also a little surprised. It's really unexpected, this guy has the ability to deal with Kakuzu. I still underestimate him. After all, Kisame chuckled, but even in this state, I can still easily get rid of you. However, Kisame didn't take it seriously. Although he knew that Naruto's strength was terrifying during the battle just now, he could already use the power of 9 tails. But Uchiha Itachi's face was calm, he looked at Sasuke's lips slightly parted, just these eyes are not enough. The fire dragon and the fireball were directly intertwined, and under the collision of the two flames, there were crackling sounds one after another. How to get them without your hands? Regarding Sasuke's threat, Uchiha Itachi didn't have the slightest interest in his heart, you still want to defeat me with your eyes. In the end, it's just your wishful thinking. Seeing Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan, Sasuke gritted his teeth. He owns Sharingan and knows how terrifying those eyes are. Mr. Itachi, your bad taste is getting more and more boring, even I don't know what to say about you. Hoshigaki Kisame chuckled, shook his head, and then 450 clenched Samahata behind him. Since Sasuke is no longer threatened, then the remaining 9 tails kid and another difficult kid should be no problem. Don't use Mangekyo to deal with me, don't you look down on me. Sasuke snorted coldly, squeezed the Chidori in his hand again. Uchiha Itachi. I want to let you know how powerful I am now. It's already enough to kill you. He held up Samahata and sneered. Advertisement. It turned several times in the air before finally stopping on the ground. The scorching chakra condensed around Sasuke, directly turned into a terrifying fire dragon and slammed it directly towards Uchiha Itachi. But the next moment, an afterimage of green rushed directly in front of Guixie. Damn it, what a strong physical skill. Kisame rubbed his chest with resentment in his eyes. And Uchiha Itachi just smiled slightly, seeing the pillar of fire dissipate in front of him without a trace. The next moment, the surrounding scene suddenly changed, and Sasuke also found himself being picked up by Uchiha Itachi's neck with one hand. Leaf strong whirlwind, Guy yelled loudly, and a roundabout kick sent Kisame flying. What's going on? Sasuke kept struggling, a trace of horror appeared in his eyes. But in just a moment, Uchiha Itachi's fireball was pierced by the fire dragon, and the remaining flames twisted into a fire column, and stabbed directly towards Uchiha Itachi. There was also a hint of consternation on Naruto's face. He gritted his teeth and looked at Kisame with a solemn expression, constantly thinking about what kind of ninjutsu he should use to deal with this guy in front of him. But Sasuke didn't show any fear on his face, he snorted coldly, fire-style huo long technique. As soon as the words were finished, 5 bodies of water appeared slowly from behind the dry persimmon ghost and stood in front of everyone. A huge fireball directly rushed towards Sasuke. It seems that the power of the previous elephant-turned clone is still many times greater. Advertisement. But in front of shark muscles, all chakra is just supplements, not enough to surprise Kisame. And he discovered again, Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan did not know when it became Mangekyo Sharingan. This is how the two pairs of Sharingan look at each other. Kisame was taken aback for a moment, and the next moment he saw Guy kick fiercely on Guixie's chest. Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke frowned when he saw Uchiha Itachi for the first time. You finally dare to show up, now I want to show you how I beat you. Could it be that everything just now was fake? The fight in fire style was just an illusion. Sasuke was shocked, he hadn't thought that Yajibo Itachi had this ability. What's going on? Sasuke was taken aback, but when he looked up, he saw Uchiha Itachi appearing in front of him again. Be careful, this is not like a double body, their strength is 3 times that of just now. We can't take it lightly. Ye Shenyue squinted slightly at the dried persimmon ghost, still thinking about how to deal with the opponent. You're too weak to even see through this. Uchiha Itachi shook his head slowly. Sasuke's 3-tomo Sharingan was staring at Uchiha Itachi. While Uchiha Itachi held Sasuke firmly, but still looked at Hoshigaki Kisame, and said in a cold voice, Kisame, don't be careless, this Nine-Tails kid is not simple. As soon as the words fell, Uchiha Itachi formed a seal with one hand, fire-style great fireball technique. After all, Uchiha Itachi's eyes were full of murderous intent, and the Sharingan of Sengoyu was displayed. Chapter 137 Catch up with Uchiha Itachi. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Not only Guy came here, even Kakashi, Yuhi Hongshin and even Sarutobi Asuma stood in front of Ye Shenyue, blocking Kisame and Uchiha Itachi. Kakashi opened the Sharingan and looked at Uchiha Itachi, feeling a little pressure. You must not look at his Sharingan. Otherwise, you will enter the illusion in an instant. There is no way to undo this illusion. Even if you are red, you are not excluded. Quote. Uchiha Itachi smiled slightly, threw Sasuke directly on the ground, looked at Kakashi and said, I didn't expect that you know so much about Sharingan, it's really beyond my expectation. And Kakashi also chuckled, however, Mangekyo is still very overdrawn to the body. I really don't know how much you can see clearly now. What? Uchiha Itachi narrowed his eyes slightly, did you? At this point Uchiha Itachi had a guess. Could it be that Kakashi has opened Mangekyo Sharingan? However, he has never seen any outsiders develop Sharingan to Mangekyo, and he is not at all sure about it. Uchiha Itachi kicked Sasuke hard at his feet, and Sasuke also raised his arm to block the kick at the moment. However, Uchiha Itachi's strength was still overwhelming, and he directly kicked Sasuke aside. The plan was wrong, so many Jonin are here, we are just wasting time. Uchiha Itachi looked at Hoshigaki Kisame aside, we might as well go back and seal one tail. Then find time to deal with 9 tails. Quote. I have nothing to do with Mr. Itachi's decision, just listen to yours. Hoshigaki Kisame sneered, put away Samahata, and said to everyone, it's a pity, I will definitely have a good time with you next time I have the opportunity. Sasuke held his chest and stood up, with a curse mark directly attached to his body. Uchiha Itachi, what are you kidding? I found you so hard, and you actually told me you were leaving. Advertisement. With a loud shout, his figure was as fast as a ghost, and he rushed directly to Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke, don't be impulsive. Backquote. Kakashi clenched his teeth, trying to stop Sasuke. At this moment, the 5 avatars of one Kaki Kisame stood directly in front of Uchiha Itachi, and at the same time used the water technique. The huge water prison instantly wrapped Sasuke in, and Commander could hardly move his body in the water prison. He could only watch Uchiha Itachi and Kisame Kaki gradually disappear in place. How is it possible? Sasuke gritted his teeth, just watching Uchiha Itachi run away in front of him. Snap. The water dungeon is broken. Sasuke was lying on the ground, wet all over, but his face was still unwilling. Damn it. He slammed his fist hard on the ground, and the seemingly hard ground was shattered by the bang. Pain in the middle snorted coldly, I didn't expect that 3 people would die in the end after catching a 1-star. Even 9 tails were not caught. Naruto saw Parker speak, his eyes widened in surprise, ninja can still talk. It's fake. A ninja dog appeared directly in front of everyone. Outside, Uchiha Itachi nodded, it's okay, they can't get in, 1 is enough to drag us to seal 1 tail. Advertisement. Obviously, Pain is already a little angry, there are only 7 people except Uchiha Obito, and now Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame have not returned, and now there are only 5 people in the cave. Sealing 1 tail is no small project, they will take a lot of chakra and time, especially with only 7 people now. He had no choice but to say, Naruto, don't worry about this. We'd better catch up with Uchiha Itachi. It seems that this trip is extremely dangerous. At this moment, in a base organized by Akatsuki. At this time, Geto statue, who was huge behind him, also let out a roar, spit out a chain from his mouth, and inserted it into Gaara's body. Sasuke, our priority right now is to save Cage. If it's over then Cage will die. Kakashi said sternly. And now we don't even know where Cage has been taken. Parker led a group of people through the woods, and soon found a big mountain. Parker nodded, and then led the crowd to run into the distance. And Parker sniffed, there is indeed a question from Uchiha tribe, but they are a little far away, we have to hurry up. And Kakashi smiled slightly, not necessarily. Parker glanced at Naruto dissatisfied, this idiot. There was a hint of gloom on their faces, and finally Uchiha Itachi spoke first, Pen, the plan has changed. Nine Tails has not been caught yet. In the huge cave, Gaara was surrounded by 5 Akatsuki members. Then, looking at Uchiha Itachi, he asked, what happened to the barrier outside? Can you stop them? Advertisement. Uzumaki Naruto, who had been silent for a long time, asked softly, Jinchuriki will die after being extracted from the tail beast. Everyone was stunned, and Naruto gritted his teeth, no matter what, we must rescue Gaara. Then Uchiha Itachi should be in this cave. But I also felt several powerful chakras in it. There are also 2 very strange chakras. One should be a tailed beast, but the other feels elusive to me see-through. Parker gritted his teeth and said, as a sensory ninja, he also noticed the seriousness of the matter. The strength of the opponent is still too outrageous. Parker, I need you to find out where Uchiha Itachi is, Kakashi said solemnly. He gritted his teeth and shouted, summoning technique. Ye Shenyue squinted his eyes slightly, those powerful chakras should be the rest of the Akatsuki organization, and the unpredictable chakra might be the chakra of Geto statue. That's enough. Pain snorted coldly. At this time, Uchiha Itachi and Kisame also returned to the cave. Ye Shenyue sighed and said, since that's the case, then I'll listen to you, but now we don't even know where Gaara is. After learning the news of Kakuzu's death, Fei Duanyi was a little shocked, that guy Kakuzu died faster than me. It's really outrageous. Seeing the heavy casualties of the Akatsuki organization, Pain snorted coldly, and said to them, it seems that I still need to go out in person, but before that, I still need to seal one tail. Kakashi was also speechless. It was the first time he summoned Parker in front of Naruto, and it is normal for Naruto to have this reaction now. With the efforts of the remaining 7 people, one tail chakra was also continuously pulled out of the body. Ye Shenyue also nodded, if they run away, we won't be able to catch up. We can only see how things will develop in the end. Chapter 138 New Sharingan. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But Kakashi and his group continued to grope towards the mountain. They all knew in their hearts that Gaara might die a little later. Suddenly, Parker stopped in front of a cave. This chakra came from the cave, but it always feels a little wrong. Parker sniffed, looking a little scared. But Naruto said seriously, we can't waste time. We must enter the cave quickly. After saying that, he walked towards the cave, but there seemed to be an invisible wall in front of the cave, which blocked Naruto directly. Naruto touched the air in front of him, but found that the ripples of chakra spread continuously, which looked very scary. Strange. What's going on? Naruto slammed the barrier hard with his fist, but found that the barrier only emitted a slight ripple. This is a kind of enchantment ninjutsu. To open it, we must use some means. Kakashi frowned slightly, looked at the enchantment in front of him, and said to everyone, how to open this enchantment, maybe we still need to use some means. But Uzumaki Naruto was too lazy to study it, and said angrily, Gaara may lose his life at any time in it now. How can we stop here? He pressed a Rasengan hard on the barrier, only heard a bang, and the barrier 880 vibrated without any injury. But Naruto was directly bounced several meters away, and fell to the ground covered in dust. There should be a lot of talismans around this mountain, and we can tear off the talismans at the same time. Ye Shenyue said lightly, however, how to find the talismans is still a problem. Parker nodded, easy, I can find the location of the spell very quickly, it just takes a little time. Advertisement. It's better to hurry up, what we lack most now is time. If something happens to Gaara, it may cause tension in the relationship between the land of wind and the land of fire. Sasuke also looked very anxious, his eyes kept looking around, as if I want to quickly find the specific location of the spell. Parker nodded, and began to lead the crowd to run around the mountain. After finding the positions of all the spells, everyone tore apart the array of spells at the same time. Only a bang was heard, and the barrier in front of the cave disappeared completely. At this moment, the members of the Akatsuki organization in Cave 1 also noticed the disappearance of the outer barrier. Nothing, the work of sealing one tail is almost finished, but we don't have many chakra, it's best not to do anything with 9 tails now. Pain ordered, after I recover in a few days, I will capture 9 with my own hands. Tails. At this moment Hidan chuckled, since that's the case, I can stop them first. I haven't avenged Kakuzu yet. As a result, Hoshigaki Kisame glanced at Hidan and said, if I'm not mistaken, your chakra will be exhausted, right? Even if you are immortal, you will probably be killed by them. It doesn't matter, anyway, one tail is destined to be ours. Pain let go of the seal on his hand, and Gaara also closed his eyes and fell directly to the ground. As for Geto statue, he also closed his mouth and sank directly into the ground. Gaara. Naruto gritted his teeth and hurried to Gaara, what's wrong with you? But Hidan didn't have the slightest fear, as if he didn't care about such an attack at all. However, the next moment, the surrounding space suddenly distorted and directly swallowed this Rasengan into it. Who is this masked guy? Sasuke was taken aback, he didn't expect the 4th pair of Sharingan to appear. At this moment, Uzumaki Naruto and others also walked into the cave. Advertisement. At this moment, the 7 Akatsuki members looked at Ye Shenyue and the others together, with a trace of contempt in their eyes. God Luo Tien sign. I saw that the beast cannon suddenly stopped in front of Pain, and then shot directly to the wall beside it and exploded. The next moment, all the members of the Akatsuki organization disappeared in place. As soon as I came in, I saw Gaara lying on the ground, without a trace of life. And at this time, everyone from the Akatsuki organization stood in front of Uchiha Obito, and as Uchiha Obito activated the pupil technique, all 8 of them were slowly sucked into the different space by the pupil technique. And looking at this Sharingan, Kakashi was also taken aback. Why is it so like my Kamui? Naruto didn't listen to Pain's words at all, and directly turned into a scarlet afterimage and rushed towards Pain. Hearing Pain's words, Uchiha Itachi also nodded slightly, and directly blasted a great fireball technique on the rock above. Not only Sasuke and Kakashi but also Uchiha Itachi, there is even a Sharingan. Even one tail has been taken by us, so I don't know what else you can use. Hidan provocatively stuck out his tongue. As for Uchiha Obito, looking at Kakashi, he also laughed. You guys are really a bit boring, and you came here for a person who must die. Kakashi, this is not your style. However, this level of ninjutsu couldn't stop Naruto at this moment. Naruto roared and the hot chakra on his body exploded all the pieces of paper. When he opened his eyes, everyone was shocked. And Parker took a deep breath, and said helplessly, this man is dead. There is no way to save him. One tail has been completely pulled out. Advertisement. I saw that one eye of Uchiha Obito was also Sharingan. You bastard. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes were full of anger, and at the same time the tail beast chakra was gradually attached to his body. I will make you pay. This guy. Conan snorted coldly, opened his arms and saw countless pieces of paper directly wrapping Naruto inside. Paper prison technique. Enough. Fighting them now is just a waste of time. It's not over yet. Naruto roared, and the 6 tails on his back directly turned into 6 huge arms to hold up all the shattered rocks, and the orangutan red Rasengan in his hand blasted directly at Pain. Only the empty cave remained. Uchiha Obito said slowly. I saw a man wearing a mask standing in front of everyone, looking at Ye Shenyue and others with a hint of anger on his face. 9 tails, you're really interesting. Pain chuckled, but we're not in the mood to play with you right now, and the next time we meet is the date of your death. As soon as the words fell, Uzumaki Naruto directly changed into the state of 6 tails, opened his mouth and sprayed out a tail beast cannon. With a loud bang, the cave burst open, and countless rocks fell down. Judging from the posture, they could almost bury them all alive. And Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth, and tapped one hand directly on the seal of his stomach. Pain snorted coldly and appeared directly in front of Hidan. I saw that the ominous chakra's tail beast cannon turned into a beam of light ACCJ and rushed towards Hidan. Seeing that Naruto didn't intend to let them go, Pain frowned slightly. Enough, we don't have much chakra, there's no need to consume them. Chapter 139 to Mount Myoboku. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Seeing Akatsuki being taken away by Uchiha Obito in this way, Uzumaki Naruto gritted his teeth after removing the tail beast coat. Unwillingness appeared on his face, and he punched hard on the wall beside him. With a bang, the wall shattered directly. Seeing one tail Shuhei being taken away by Shao organization like this, Ye Shenyue also heaved a long sigh. It seems that Obito really has some troubles. And Obito's pupil technique is so troublesome, otherwise today there is a chance to wipe out the Akatsuki organization. And Kakashi's eyes were also full of horror. He looked at Uchiha Obito's pupil technique, and the distorted appearance of the surrounding space was similar to his own Sharingan. He covered his eyes and was silent for a moment, then Asuma who was beside him also seemed to see something wrong with Kakashi, and just said softly, this cage died here in the end, there is no 5th cage in the Kingdom of Wind. Only at this time did Kakashi come to his senses, nodded and said, that's right. Looking at it now, we are the most passive ones. Not only Naruto is also being targeted, but we also have to negotiate with the Kingdom of Wind, otherwise the other party you won't let us go so easily. The death of a cage in the Land of Fire is definitely a sensational event. If the Land of Wind is not properly appeased, perhaps the ninja world will fall into turmoil again. Advertisement. Only with the existence of the Shao organization, it is impossible not to riot. Ye Shenyue stretched her waist, looked at Gaara's body and sighed, what bad luck, this died here. After that, he looked at everyone, okay, let's go back to Konoha village and figure out what to do first. Take Gaara's body away first. Kakashi nodded. Naruto had no choice but to carry Gaara's body on his back, and everyone rushed towards Konoha. After all, no one knows when the Akatsuki organization will suddenly attack. Konoha village. Sarutobi Hiruzen rushed over from the nursing home with a pipe in his mouth, while 5th Hokage Tsunade and Jiraiya also appeared in the Hokage building. Looking at the group of Ye Shenyue in front of him, and then looking at the corpse of Gaara on the ground, they all fell silent. Gaara's body was covered with a white cloth at this time. Sarutobi Hiruzen pondered for a moment, and said, 5th generation. This Gaara died here, and the Kingdom of the Winds will definitely not let it go. Damn it, it's targeting Jinchuriki. Tsunade was also a little puzzled. Many Jinchuriki from other villages were also captured and their tailed beasts were taken out. I really don't know what the purpose of this organization is to collect tailed beasts. Could it be that they really want to start another war? Looking at Gaara's body, Tsunade couldn't help but clenched his fists, and said helplessly, but the Kingdom of Wind probably won't have any big opinions. Although he died within the range of Konoha, it wasn't us. Hands on, at most, is just a poor protection, and we have sent so many ninja escorts, it can only be said that Gaara's life is not good. Jiraiya nodded. That's right, but now it seems that Naruto is the most dangerous one. Don't forget that it is Naruto who is being targeted. Advertisement. Hearing these words, people turned all their eyes to Naruto. Sasuke on the side also said worriedly, Naruto, don't forget that according to their original plan, they were to catch you in one tail. Although they haven't captured you now, it doesn't mean they will let you go. The remaining 8 members of the Akatsuki organization are not easy to deal with. We must not be careless. Naruto touched the seal on his stomach. He felt the tailed beast for the first time. It was like a curse. He raised his head to look at Jiraiya and asked, "Pervy sage. What should I do now?" Jiraiya was silent for a moment. "Although you can use the tailed beast chakra now, your strength is still not enough. You can go to Mount Myoboku to practice with me, and try to improve your strength as much as possible during this time." Hearing that he was going to practice with Jiraiya and go to Mount Myoboku, which he didn't know well, Naruto was silent for a moment, and said, "Boss. Should I go? If I go, maybe they will be targeting Konoha village." Ye Shenyue was silent for a moment, seeing that the matter was involved in him again. "If you stay in Konoha village by yourself, you will end up dead. Why not go to Mount Myoboku with Naruto to hide? Take it easy. Go. You must go. If you stay here, you will die." Ye Shenyue threatened Naruto. "If the Akatsuki organization knows that you are not in Konoha village, they will not waste time on Konoha village, and I will go with you. It's okay to give you a few pointers at that time. 0. Asking for flowers." Jiraiya looked at Ye Shenyue and nodded in satisfaction. He still believed in Ye Shenyue very much. Advertisement. Among the same class, Ye Shenyue is simply the most excellent one. Even Sasuke, who has Uchiha blood, is not as good as Naruto at all. "Yes, you can go to Mount Myoboku with me. As for you, you must protect this secret. You must never let anyone know that Naruto is on Mount Myoboku." Jiraiya gritted his teeth and said, "This matter is very important. Absolutely must not let the Akatsuki organization really found Naruto." 0. Faced with this proposal, Tsunade had no choice but to agree, and only asked, "You must work hard to practice on Mount Myoboku. When you fight back, your strength is enough to protect the entire village." Naruto smiled confidently. "I will. Granny Tsunade, just leave it to me." Sasuke was silent for a moment. "Since both of you have gone, I'll go too. I'm really worried that there are only 2 of you outside. Even if the Akatsuki organization really finds Mount Myoboku by then, maybe I can still help." Jiraiya smiled and looked at Sasuke with eyes full of exclamation. "Sasuke. This is not something you can say. But Mount Myoboku is not so easy to find, but if you really want to go to Mount Myoboku to practice together, I will no comments at all. Since that's the case, it's settled." Sarutobi Hiruzen tapped his crutch. "In this case, the matter of Naruto and others going to Mount Myoboku will be my Konoha's top secret. No one can leak it." Kakashi, Asuma and the others nodded. They naturally knew what was the most important thing before making a big deal out of it. It's just that Kakashi was a little worried. He was still thinking about Uchiha Obito, but in the end he patted Naruto's shoulder in relief. "Naruto, you must take care of yourself. You must never leave Mount Myoboku unless it is absolutely necessary. This matter very important." Naruto chuckled. "Don't worry about us, Kakashi-sensei. We'll go straight to Mount Myoboku-sen." Chapter 140 Curse Seal and Immortal Art. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Mount Myoboku. Naruto looked at himself in a daze as he appeared on Mount Myoboku, a place he had never been to before. "I thought it would be a long way to go, but it turned out that I came here in just a short moment. What's going on? How did I get here?" Naruto was taken aback. And Sasuke looked around cautiously. "This place looks too different from Konoha. Shouldn't we be more cautious when we are new here, Ye Shenyue?" But when he turned his head, he saw Ye Shenyue took out a small bench out of nowhere and sat by the waterfall, starting to fish leisurely, as if nothing happened. "Ah, I'm tired of looking at the river outside Konoha. As expected, it's Mount Myoboku. The scenery is really good. I feel like I can catch a big baby today." Ye Shenyue smiled, and there was a hint of 3 or 4 zeros in his eyes' excitement. Seeing Ye Shenyue's current appearance, Sasuke gasped, with a serious expression on his face. "Why do you seem to have nothing wrong? Now is Naruto's life and death. You are still fishing here." Sasuke gritted his teeth. At this time, Jiraiya walked up to the 3 of them, looked at the 2 toads in front of him and said respectfully, "Fukasaku-sensei, we have already arrived." The little toad nodded slightly, and then said, "Little Jiraiya, I have already guessed that you will come back," and asked Toad to wait here. "It seems that you are ready to enter the practice." Advertisement. On the other hand, Tomoyoshi looked at Naruto, a little dissatisfied. Why is this guy? When Naruto was practicing summoning technique with Jiraiya before, the binding contract was Hamayoshi, and one person and one toad couldn't see each other. "Damn it, you toad, do you look down on me?" Naruto gritted his teeth fiercely and raised his fist as if he wanted to punch me. Seeing these 2 people, Immortal Fukasaku shook his head helplessly, and said, "Let's start practicing quickly." 17. "I want to learn this too." Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, "If I master the magic of chakra, I will be able to defeat Uchiha Itachi very easily." Sensei Fukasaku saw the curse mark on Sasuke's neck. His eyes widened in surprise. "This is physical energy and spiritual energy. What is spiritual energy? And what is chakra? Why haven't I heard of it before?" But soon, the image of ice cream appeared in Naruto's mind, and he clapped his hands. "So it looks like this. I understand. Senior, what's the matter?" Sasuke looked confused, and then saw Fukasaku-sensei find the curse mark on his neck. "It's getting interesting." Sasuke smiled lightly, and the contempt in his eyes gradually emerged. "Uchiha Itachi. You wash my neck and wait. I will never forgive you." Hearing these words, Fukasaku-sensei narrowed his eyes slightly, and then jumped directly onto Sasuke's body, as if he was looking for something on Sasuke. "That is to say, if you have the curse seal, you can also practice the fairy chakra, and you can even say that you have the opportunity to use the fairy chakra in the spell seal mode." Seeing endless natural energy pouring into the deep work sage body one after another, this scene even surprised Hamayoshi. Advertisement. Hamoji jumped over and explained, "Let me make an analogy. For example, the ice cream made by adding chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream is more delicious than ordinary ice cream. Sensei Fukasaku looked at Sasuke and thought for a while, and then said, this is not the essence of chakra. This curse seal should be formed in the day after tomorrow, and it doesn't really match your body 100%. But if you practice here, if so, the speed of progress may be very fast. Then he said sternly, but what I want to teach you is not ninjutsu or body art, but fairy art. Wow, is this the fairy art chakra? It's amazing. Naruto's eyes widened. I want to practice this too. It's just that Naruto hasn't practiced natural energy yet, so he can't perceive the existence of this natural energy at all. Sento Fukasaku explained to the two. Ninjutsu uses physical energy and spiritual energy, but if natural energy is added, the three kinds of energy can be fused together to become senjutsu chakra. And the ninjutsu or body energy used in senjutsu chakra art and illusion, the power will be greatly enhanced. Sasuke could hear these theoretical knowledge with relish, but Naruto was dumbfounded. Sasuke was taken aback. 5.3. This is almost something I can't even imagine. And Immortal Fukasaku put one hand on a huge stone ball behind his back, only to see a small, Immortal Fukasaku holding up the stone ball like a hill with one hand, looking very relaxed. It's just that the increase in strength is real. Naruto snapped his fingers, looking confused. Immortal Fukasaku's complexion instantly became ugly, and he said, I'd like to see. Can you learn so quickly? Advertisement. The curse seal on your neck can absorb natural energy and transform it into your own power. This is also a unique fairy art chakra. The immortal Shenzuo pondered for a moment, and explained, but this so-called fairy art chakra is simply it is not as good as the fairy art of the three holy places, which is equivalent to the difference between heresy and orthodox. But if you can use this curse seal, you can feel the natural energy much easier. Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, and then the curse mark on his neck slowly dispersed, and his chakra also suddenly became stronger. Afterwards, he jumped to the ground with a face full of horror, and there was a little shock in his eyes. And Sasuke also looked at Fukasaku Sage in horror, and even opened his Sharingan directly, but still couldn't see any clues. Shanshu. Naruto was taken aback, as if he didn't understand the meaning of the word. And Immortal Fukasaku made seals with both hands, and said, let me demonstrate the power of this fairy art chakra to you. Sasuke came over and widened his eyes curiously, and said, Immortal art. How to practice? Even Sasuke couldn't help complaining. You guys seem to make things more complicated. After hearing Gamayoshi's explanation, Fukasaku Senjin and Sasuke were stunned. Can this seal be used as Rishi chakra? Sasuke asked. Ah, me. Ye Shenyue plucked out his ear, and said to Fukasaku Immortal, it's too simple, you can explain it to me, really. Fukasaku Sensei looked at Ye Shenyue in the distance and asked, do you want to practice chakra together? Ye Shenyue, who was fishing not far away, sighed, the potential of foodies is really limitless, I am ashamed of myself. Chapter 141 What does Mount Myoboku eat? Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Of course, Sensei Fukasaku knows how difficult it is to practice immortal arts. Even a character like Jiraiya, who is comparable to a genius for immortal arts, has many difficulties on the road to practicing immortal arts. And Ye Shenyue looked at Fukasaku Sage, just shrugged slightly, and said, Fukasaku Sage is up to you. Anyway, I can learn it as soon as I learn it, why don't you teach them more? HMPH. Immortal Fukasaku called the three of them together reluctantly, and after teaching them the theory of cultivating immortal arts, he supervised them to comprehend the natural energy by themselves. Cultivating natural energy is life-threatening. You'd better be smarter. I can't control the three of you. Fukasaku Immortal said viciously. He applied toad oil on the bodies of the three people, so that the three people could feel the natural energy more easily. It's just that the risk is very high. If there is a mistake, it will become a toadstone statue, so Immortal Fukasaku carefully watched the three of them with a stick in his hand. At this moment, Immortal Fukasaku felt a few wisps of weak natural energy begin to gather towards the three of them. And Sasuke directly opened the curse seal, and in the form of the curse seal, he felt the natural energy. This also makes his progress to almost make Fukasaku Immortal feel a little strange. But soon, Sasuke and Naruto's heads collapsed, and they turned into toads. As for Immortal Fukasaku, two sticks were neatly smashed into their faces. It hurts. Naruto held his head and gritted his teeth. I still know it hurts. If you can't grasp the speed of my natural energy, you will not be far from death. At that time, you will become a toadstone statue and completely become a part of this Mount Myoboku. Advertisement. Immortal Fukasaku warned viciously. And Sasuke gritted his teeth. Damn it, it's still so difficult for me to cultivate even with the curse seal. It seems that this natural energy is really not so easy to cultivate. Immortal Fukasaku suddenly noticed something, and he turned his head hastily. I saw a very strong natural energy lingering on Ye Shenyue's body, and in Mount Myoboku, it seemed to be integrated with the whole Mount Myoboku. Immortal facial makeup gradually appeared around the corners of the eyes. This is. Sensei Fukasaku couldn't believe his eyes, but he really felt the extremely strong natural energy from Ye Shenyue. It can be said that only Jiraiya, who has practiced immortal arts for so many years, can overwhelm Ye Shenyue. But you have to know that this is Ye Shenyue's first attempt to absorb natural energy. She has not yet reached the level of real cultivation of immortality. And Ye Shenyue looked at his hands, felt the abundant fairy chakra in his body, and smiled slightly, as this the fairy chakra. It really is very different from common's chakra. After all, he punched hard on the waterfall beside him. And Sasuke also sighed unwillingly, this monster, I always feel that I and his chakra are getting bigger and bigger. And I saw 3 big bowls of ramen in front of the 3 of them, and the ingredients of the ramen were actually made of various bugs. But Naruto raised his head and looked at Senjin Fukasaku with a dejected expression, I'm so hungry. Is there anything to eat? That can't be done. You can't eat too much food on the way to practice fairy arts. Insects are the best match, which is just right for you. Ye Shenyue chuckled. As for me, I have already mastered fairy arts, so I don't need to suffer from these things at all. The bondage of rules and regulations. After all, he lifted the small bench and sat by the waterfall, and picked up the fishing rod. Advertisement. Naruto and Sasuke lay on the ground exhausted, almost without any strength. Damn it, boss wants me too. Naruto gritted his teeth and said. Immortal Fukasaku smiled and said, my old lady's cooking skills are undeniable. I'll take you to try it right now. After that, he wolfed down the worms in the bowl. With the help of toad oil, Naruto and Sasuke made rapid progress, but they often turned into frogs. Really? Naruto's eyes lit up instantly. I want to eat ramen. Do you have it? Ramen. And Ye Shenyue took out a large piece of meat and said, it's okay, I'll eat this, you can just eat ramen. At this time, Sensei Fukasaku walked up to Sasuke, looked at Sasuke and said slowly, although your curse seal can help you absorb natural energy, if you keep using this state, you will rely too much on the curse seal. Curse seals can't even use fairy arts. Hearing Fukasaku Senjin's evaluation, Uzumaki Naruto said in surprise, boss is amazing. And Sasuke's eyes were red. In order to defeat Uchiha Itachi, I will suffer anything. Plus, Naruto and Sasuke didn't dare to speak, they could only sit cross-legged by the river and start feeling the natural energy. His mastery of chakra has also reached a very precise level, and being able to master this fairy art chakra is simply as easy as pie. What greens blues purples bug? How about it? My cooking skills are good, right? Does it look like you have a big appetite? Immortal Zima rubbed his hands, as if he wanted to hear some praise. Advertisement. Senjin Fukasaku 910 and Senjin Shima sat in front of the three of them, looking at Naruto proudly. Seeing Ye Shenyue's attitude is so popular that his teeth are itchy, but helplessly, the other party does have the capital to pretend. I've been using the curse seal for a day, I'm exhausted. Sasuke gritted his teeth. And Fukasaku-sensei looked at Ye Shenyue and took a deep breath. If you have been practicing for a while, maybe your mastery of the celestial art chakra is unprecedented. This is the first time I have heard of you like this, Tiantuan. In midair, it turned into countless water droplets and fell to the ground. He looked at Naruto and Sasuke without curiosity, and said viciously, what are you looking at? Practice hard, otherwise, there will be good fruits for you. Naruto and Sasuke turned green when they saw it. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, her learning talent is not something to be overshadowed, and her physical ability and mental energy are very abundant. Naruto and Sasuke also had ugly expressions on their faces when they heard this. After a day of practice. Look, how delicious they are, I think of little Jiraiya when I see them. Immortal Shima chuckled, eat more, don't be hungry. There is still a lot of practice tomorrow. Hurry up and grow up, just do it. This punch only used Ye Shenyue's sliver of strength, but it directly broke through the water waves tens of meters high, and rushed straight into the sky like a white dragon breaking the waves. Sasuke smiled coldly, what I lack the most is time, as long as I can practice chakra well now, I will be fine. Of course there is. And Ye Shenyue clapped his hands, okay, I know the fairy art, it's too simple, you go to practice it yourself, I'm going fishing. Chapter 142, Instant Open Immortal. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After a week of training, Naruto and Sasuke were finally able to absorb natural energy freely. Immortal chakra flowed from them all the time, and the speed of progress surprised Fukasaku Sage. At first I thought that little ghost was scary, but I didn't expect that these two people are not far behind. The speed of improvement is so much faster than that of little Jiraiya. Sensei Fukasaku narrowed his eyes slightly. At this moment, Naruto and Sasuke had tried to reconcile chakra in the body. After a long while, fairy faces appeared in the corners of the two of them's eyes. When they opened their eyes, fairy pupils appeared in their eyes. I've finally entered sage mode. Naruto stood up with a proud expression on his face. He felt his body became extremely light at this time, and at the same time, he seemed to be able to integrate with the coughing ground. Ye Shenyue at the side heard Naruto's smug smile and shook his head slowly. It took me a week to cultivate and it's worth being so excited. Ye Shenyue sighed, it's so cold at the top. But Ye Shenyue is also very clear that their rapid progress has a lot to do with the hell-style training they took before. To some extent, the upper limit of the two of them has been raised a lot by him, even their aptitude is the same. In this case, you can try the combination of movement and stillness. Fukasaku Sento said to the two, sage mode can only be used for 5 minutes at the longest. That is, after 5 minutes, you must stop and sit on the ground to absorb the nature. Energy, re-enter sage mode. Naruto was stunned at this moment, that is to say, if I want to re-enter sage mode during the battle and leave the battlefield to regather natural energy. Then what's the use of me practicing so much? Fukasaku Sage nodded, don't worry, I can fuse with you. For example, standing on your shoulders can help you condense natural energy and send it to you, allowing you to maintain sage mode for a long time. Just like little Jiraiya, if his sage mode wants to exert its greatest power, it must be assisted by me and the child's mother. Quote exclamation mark quote. Advertisement. It turned out to be like this, I realized it. Naruto slapped his thigh, then let's try it quickly. Sento Fukasaku nodded, and jumped onto Naruto's shoulder, just about to send natural energy to Naruto, but felt a terrifying chakra directly rushing towards Senman Fukasaku's body. This is the chakra of the tailed beast. Sento Fukasaku gritted his teeth, he never thought that there would be such a thing, the 9 tails in Naruto's body didn't even want to let himself send the natural energy to Naruto. Naruto watched Fukasaku Senjin fall to the ground, widened his eyes, and said, Fukasaku Sento, you are fine. How come you are like this? Damn it, there is a tailed beast in your body. He doesn't allow me to fuse with you at all. Sensei Fukasaku sighed, maybe we should think of another way. And Sasuke on the side directly entered the spell seal mode, and at the same time directly turned on the sage mode in the spell seal mode. In the superposition of the curse seal and the immortal, Sasuke's aura suddenly became ethereal. Yes, why didn't I think of this way? Immortal Shen Zuo also knew that he had nothing to teach them, so he sighed and said, you guys are the first ones who graduated in a week. Qian how? Now his strength is far beyond the general sage mode. Sage mode is perfect too. It doesn't appear to be a little bit of frog. You can reach this level without training for a long time. It's just incredible. Thinking of this, Fukasaku-sensei also sighed. He never thought that Sasuke was such a genius. At this moment, Konoha. Backquote. You really are a genius. Fukasaku Immortal said through gritted teeth. Advertisement. Konoha, who was still safe just now, discovered the intrusion of the Akatsuki organization at this time. Sensei Fukasaku nodded. That's right, now you can enter sage mode by yourself. It's really amazing to be able to do this. And through the natural energy of the curse seal, you can maintain sage mode alone for a long time. Impossible ability. The degree of perfection even surprised Fukasaku Immortal. Converting the curse seal into the fairy art chakra can also make the body's corrosion from the curse seal disappear. Sasuke smiled lightly. This is not a simple problem of 1 + 1 = 2. 6 pens showed up outside Konoha village. Chakra, who was originally icy all over, also became clear and clear. Before he could react, he saw Shiradao stretching out his arm in the distance, and a missile directly exploded on the ninja. At this time, he looked at Ye Shenyue who was fishing, and said angrily, now you are the only one left, you must solve the problem of first moving and stillness. Otherwise, it is impossible to maintain sage mode for a long time. Ye Shenyue nodded. After all, the target of the Akatsuki organization is only you. As long as you have enough power, you can get rid of the threat of the Akatsuki organization. Of course, Naruto is also good, but the 9 tails in the body are a bit troublesome. Immortal Fukasaku was surprised for a moment, then heaved a long sigh and shook his head. That posture was like swallowing a whale, and in just an instant, a fairy face appeared on Ye Shenyue's face. Tenshinto looked in the direction of Konoha, his eyes gradually turned cold. It's time to let the world feel the pain. And Naruto also nodded. Well, in this way, we will be more confident in dealing with the Akatsuki organization. We must not let the Akatsuki organization really destroy Konoha. Advertisement. And Ye Shenyue smiled lightly. I'm familiar with this one. You let his clone absorb natural energy and enter sage mode, and when needed, release the clone, and the fairy art chakra of the clone returns to Naruto, and Naruto also enters sage mode naturally. The two-headed hellhound easily tore the two into pieces. After finishing speaking, he stood up. Immortal Shenzuo, you have taught almost all the moves of immortal arts these few days, and we can almost go back. Anyway, thank you for your teaching these 2 days. It's just a pity that Naruto has no way to solve this problem. If there is any way to solve the problem of 9 tails in his body, that would be great. Hearing this idea, both Fukasaku Senjin and Naruto froze in place. I don't need to because I'm in sage mode for a split second. Above a building, Animal Road slapped the ground with one hand. As soon as the words fell, 6 paths pain turned into an afterimage of 6 paths and poured into the village directly. Soon a Chunin came over, looking at the huge two-headed hellhound with a hint of horror in his eyes. As soon as the words fell, the surrounding natural energy was directly sucked into Ye Shenyue's body. Summoning technique. Ye Shenyue turned her head and shrugged. I saw a huge two-headed hellhound appearing directly in front of everyone. Smash. Chapter 143 Pen Invasion. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At this moment, Cerberus was about to attack other people, but saw Jiraiya suddenly descending from the sky. Big ball Rasengan. I saw Rasengan smashed hard on the Cerberus, and the Cerberus was smashed to pieces. And Jiraiya also fell in front of the animal way. Hongyun Robe, are you from the Akatsuki organization? Jiraiya gritted her teeth. It seems that you are finally here. And the beast said with a cold smile, Jiraiya, you are here too. If you don't let me go, tell me where Naruto is now. Hearing the word Naruto, Jiraiya's eyes tightened, and he snorted coldly. I won't tell you where Naruto is, just dream. I'm going to get rid of you here. You scum. As soon as the words fell, there was a loud noise behind Jiraiya, and the hellhound just now split apart, turning into 2 hellhounds again, almost the same size as before. Can't you kill it? Jiraiya was taken aback, then looked at the beast and said, your eyes are exactly the same as one of my apprentices. At the same time, he also lowered his eyes. He always felt that this beast was very familiar. The animal Dao didn't pay much attention to Jiraiya, but manipulated the Cerberus to bite Jiraiya fiercely. Just as Jiraiya was about to escape, he saw the ground burst and a huge centipede burst out of the ground, rushing fiercely towards Jiraiya. Earth-style 687 Wonquan Swamp. Jiraiya put his hands on the ground, and the ground turned into a muddy swamp. Cerberus and centipede stood on the ground and could only keep falling, unable to struggle. He turned around and looked at the beast, and snorted coldly, looks like we're going to have a good fight. But only you can't beat me. At this moment, in a gap in the street. Advertisement. Tenshinto grabbed Iruka by the throat and lifted him up. Iruka was already covered with scars at the moment. He gritted his teeth and looked at the gods, feeling weak all over. Damn, I won't tell where Naruto is. And I don't know. And there was no wave on Tenshinto's face, just a black stick appeared in the other hand, stabbing towards Iruka's neck suddenly. Reikiri. Kakashi suddenly appeared, and a Reikiri directly cut the gang into 2 pieces, then kicked away Tenshinto and hugged Iruka, then jumped away and landed on the ground. You bastard. Kakashi gritted his teeth. On the surface, it caused a commotion, but in fact, you are really good at collecting information secretly. How many people are there in Pen? Pain smiled lightly. Universal pull. ACCJ. Suddenly, Kakashi's body flew towards Pain uncontrollably, and at the same time, an iron rod was stretched out from Pain's hand. Earth-style earth flow wall. Kakashi pressed the ground with his last strength, and a wall suddenly appeared in front of him. And Kakashi's body hit the wall, and the wall shattered with a bang. He pushed away the gravel on his body, and Sharingan stared at Pain. What a weird ninjutsu, I didn't even see the link seal. At this moment, countless summoning beasts all over the sky directly rushed out of the sky, and at the same time, countless hell dogs and various summoning beasts rampaged within Konoha. Konoha suffered heavy casualties. Most of Sunagakure has been destroyed by our Akatsuki. Cage also died in my hands. I want to see if you Konoha can struggle in our hands for a while. The voice of Tien Shendao gradually became cold, but suddenly a loud noise was heard. I can only see the distance. On the Konoha building, 3 figures appeared. Advertisement. Ye Shenyue. Kakashi looked at the figure, his pupils shrank suddenly. Ye Shenyue and Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, wearing robes similar to Jiraiya's, stand on the Hokage building. There was a hint of complacency and frivolity in his eyes. Pain, you finally made a move on us. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. And Uzumaki Naruto also snorted coldly, let me see how much this Shao organization is. But Sasuke showed a trace of disdain on his face, TCH, I thought Uchiha Itachi would come. It turned out to be just a shrinking turtle. Seeing the 3 people appear, Tenshinto scratched the corner of his mouth slightly, ignored Kakashi directly, and then walked towards Naruto continuously. The other 5 paths are also constantly moving towards Naruto. Damn it, can't go. Kakashi's eyes tightened, and a thunder appeared in his hand. Reikiri. He suddenly rushed towards Pain, but when Pain was less than 1 meter away, Song Ting suddenly heard a sound. God Luo Tien sign. Kakashi was thrown flying out suddenly, rolled on the ground several times and hit the wall before stopping his body. Damn, so strong. Kakashi gritted his teeth. At this moment, watching the summoning beasts all over the sky gather towards him, Sasuke smiled slightly. Is that how you look down on us? When he opened his palm, countless thunder lights turned into thousands of summoning beasts that flashed into the air. Lightning style thousand birds. Sasuke shouted loudly, and Sharingan guided thousands of birds to stab the summoning beasts' vitals in the air. Countless summoning beasts fell to the ground one after another, hitting buildings or roads. Advertisement. Seeing that the summoning technique was exhausted, 6 Paths Pain also appeared in front of the 3 of them. Similarly, a group of Jonin also surrounded 6 Paths Pain, and Tsunade stood at the forefront, looking at Pain solemnly. Pain, what do you want? Tsunade gritted his teeth. And Jiraiya was also surprised after seeing Tiandao, Yahiko, or Nagato. Jiraiya knows that only Nagato has Rinnegan, but at this moment he stands in front of him in the posture of Yahiko, making himself feel like a world away for a moment. And the Rinnegan of the other 5 Pain also made Jiraiya feel a little bit of fear. Teacher, I really didn't expect it. You really recognized it. Tiandao smiled coldly, but both Yahiko and Nagato are dead. It was also at this time that Tiandao snorted coldly and stretched out his finger to Naruto. Universal pull. Naruto suddenly felt his whole body tremble, and then flew towards the sky uncontrollably. Naruto. Sasuke hurriedly stretched out his hand to grab Naruto, and the 2 were pulled to the ground together. Seeing Naruto and Sasuke flying over, Tiandao stretched out his black stick, ready to directly subdue the 2 at this moment. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Kakashi hastily threw several shurikens, but Beast Road used summoning technique again. A huge panda directly stopped in front of Pain, directly blocking the shuriken. Tiandao looked back at Kakashi slightly. Copy Ninja Kakashi, it seems that you are nothing more than that. After saying that, the black stick stabbed at the chests of Naruto and Sasuke. Flash kick. The next moment, Ye Shenyue came directly in front of the 2 with a long flashing tail, and then directly swept off the black stick with a ruthless kick. It's so fast. Tiandao was a little surprised, he hadn't thought that his opponent's speed could be so fast. Chapter 144 3 Immortals. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ye Shenyue hugged Sasuke and Naruto with one hand in each hand, and suddenly made a backflip to open the distance. Then he looked at Tiandao and smiled slightly. How can you be quick to comment on a man? It's really rude. Tiandao snorted coldly. I want to see what skills you have. As soon as the words fell, countless missiles suddenly shot out from behind Shiradao, turning into a rain of missiles and falling towards Ye Shenyue suddenly. But Ye Shenyue blinked slightly, and the next moment, a fairy face appeared on his face. This is. Jiraiya was a little surprised, she didn't expect Ye Shenyue to turn on Sage Mode in such a short time. How is it possible? A large amount of natural energy poured into Ye Shenyue's body in just a short moment. Is this really possible for humans? Jiraiya suddenly doubted life. I have been practicing for so long and still can't. It only takes a moment for Ye Shenyue to enter the perfect Sage Mode. Sage Art. Ye Shenyue stretched out a hand slightly, and at this moment the celestial chakra poured into the palm, Amazono cloud sword. A blazing white light suddenly appeared in his hand, dazzling and shocking the world. The white light quickly condensed into a lightsaber that was actually about 10 meters long. Ye Shenyue held the Tiankongan sword, which was made up of the celestial chakra, and slammed it down. There was a loud bang. All the missiles in midair exploded. Instantly turned into dust and drifted away. Amidst the smoke and dust, Sasuke gritted his teeth. With the opening of the Sharingan, the self-seal is suddenly unsealed. The second stage of the spell is used with Sage Mode. I have never tried it. Sasuke smiled coldly, and saw that the chakra on his body suddenly became extremely powerful, and the rich magic chakra poured into his body. Advertisement. Sage Art Chidori Sharp Gun. I saw a purple and black thunderbolt rushing out of Sasuke's hand, and its posture seemed unstoppable. Even Tiandao was slightly surprised. Shen Luo Tien Zheng. Tiandao gritted his teeth, and used Shen Luo Tianzheng again to bounce off the thousand-bird gungan. It was as if a white barrier had been erected around his body. No matter how terrifying the Chidori sharp gun was, it was still difficult to get even half of his body close to the heavenly Dao. The frantic thunder and lightning formed a thunder ball, enveloping Tiandao's whole body. Damn it! Sasuke was a little shocked when he saw that his sage art didn't hurt Tiandao. His ninjutsu can manipulate repulsion, and can deflect all attacks. It is really difficult to deal with. Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, however, the interval between each use of him will be as long as 5 seconds. As long as you catch the 5-second gap, you will be able to deal with it. Can attack him. Hearing this, Sasuke also nodded slightly. In this case, as long as we attack intensively, he must have no chance of struggling. As soon as the voice fell, Sasuke rushed out suddenly, and the blessing brought to him by Sage Mode also reached ultimate in an instant. Sharingan stared at Tiandao, as if he could see through his opponent at this moment. However, he stopped abruptly. I saw a hellhound bursting out of the ground. If it didn't break in time, it would probably be swallowed directly. The perception ability brought by Sage Mode is really powerful. Even Sharingan must not be able to see through this. Sasuke gritted his teeth, and at the same time, Naruto suddenly appeared from behind him. Frog Team. Naruto clenched his teeth, punched the hellhound suddenly and flew more than 10 meters away. The huge body shattered a building. Looking at Naruto's Sage Mode, Jiraiya was also a little shocked. This power is much stronger than I first imagined. Naruto's Sage Mode has such a powerful power. And this is not over yet. 2 avatars appeared beside Naruto, constantly dropping the balls in their hands. Advertisement. Let me show you my new technique. Naruto gritted his teeth. Sage Art Wind Style Spiral Shuriken. The buzzing sound seems to be able to cut through everything. Naruto held the rapidly spinning spiral shuriken in the palm of his hand. Hey, this is a new technique researched under the guidance of my boss. Let me see if you can resist. And at this moment, Jiraiya and Kakashi both fell into a trance for a moment when they saw the wind-style spiral shuriken. They never thought that Naruto could research Rasengan's nature transformation to ultimate with his own efforts. I saw the huge spiral shuriken suddenly thrown towards Tiandao, and Tiandao seemed to have noticed a little abnormality at this moment. Shen Luo Tianzheng, he shouted loudly, using the Shen Luo Tian sign again to bounce the spiral shuriken away as much as possible. The spiral shuriken exploded directly above Tiandao and spread rapidly. Everything around seemed to be trapped in the king of cutting. 0. Asking for flowers. It's as if there are countless thin needles shuttling back and forth. Tiandao narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Shen Luo Tianzheng who was bounced away by him, and said lightly, this ninjutsu may be able to completely penetrate the cells of the human body. It's a terrifying ninjutsu. Damn it. Naruto gritted his teeth when he saw that his technique was still bounced off by the opponent. My own magic chakra is not much, and the spiral shuriken needs to consume a lot of magic chakra. This time, my own magic chakra has been reduced by a full third. While the wind style was spreading, the dust and smoke dispersed, but a beam of thunder was seen shining from it. Sage Art Chidori. Sasuke yelled and poured the Sage Art into Chidori, and the fiery Chidori pierced Tiandao's chest viciously with the power to kill everything. Advertisement. Oops. Tiandao narrowed his eyes slightly. He had just used the divine Luo Tian sign. Facing the next Chidori strike, he had almost no strength to struggle. Puff. Chidori suddenly pierced Tiandao's chest. Sasuke's Sharingan and frog eyes are superimposed and look extremely scary. He sneered, as this pain. It's so funny. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw Shiradao suddenly jumping in front of him. In midair, his head split open, revealing a light cannon. A pale laser shot out from it, and swept towards Sasuke's head. You're not Jinchuriki, it doesn't matter if I kill you. Tiandao forced a smirk, then broke free from Chidori, and came to Helldao's side. Summoning technique Yan Wang. The huge Hades swallowed Tiandao's whole body into his mouth, and when Tiandao walked out, his body had already recovered. And Sasuke was almost hit by the laser. If it wasn't for Sharingan, maybe it would be really easy for him to explain here. With pain, they are almost immortal. Sasuke also saw a trace of abnormality. However, in the next second, a ray of light flashed. Ye Shenyue, who has entered Sage Mode, has a more agile consciousness and movement. Cooperate with Sparkling Fruit, a Tiankongan sword, cut Hades and Hell Road in half. Pain's body shattered. Let's see how you come back to life. Ye Shenyue said fiercely. Chapter 145. The Widows and Lonely Gods. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When Tiandao saw Hellдao and Hades being cut to pieces with a single sword, there was a hint of shock in his eyes. He didn't seem to expect that Ye Shenyue would be so close to this point. Even if I saw it, I still can't react. Tiandao narrowed his eyes slightly. It's really interesting. The next moment, Uzumaki Naruto rubbed Rasengan again and charged straight up. Rasengan pressed hard on Tiandao's chest. But Naruto's arm was directly grabbed by Shiradao's arm. I saw a trace of metallic luster flashing on his mechanical arm, looking majestic. Frog Team hand. Naruto shook his hand slightly, and Shiradao's mechanical arm was directly smashed, and then a clone suddenly smashed Shiradao down with a sweeping leg. Tiandao snorted coldly and shouted at Naruto, universal pull. Then he raised the black stick and stabbed at the person who called, 210, flying towards him. With a puff, it pierced through the chest, and there was only a trace of disdain in Naruto's eyes. Bang! It turned into smoke and dissipated. A clone. I really underestimated him. Tiandao snorted coldly, and then saw the animal and human paths behind Naruto's two Rasengans directly piercing through their chests. Spiral pills. Naruto looked at the fallen Pain, panting heavily. Now it seems that there is only one Pain who is still alive. In just a few rounds, 3 Pain were eliminated, which Tiandao really did not expect. It seems that I really underestimated you, Tiandao said seriously. Advertisement. And Sasuke and Naruto smiled at each other, and rushed towards the sky. The physical skills of the two are also fully displayed at this moment. It was clean and neat, without any sloppiness at all. Just for a moment, it suppressed Tiandao, who was holding a black stick again and again. The next moment, Naruto grabbed Tiandao's shoulders, held him directly, and said to Sasuke, "Get rid of him." Here we come. Under the Sharingan, the opponent's vitals were tightly locked. On the Kusanagi sword, Chidori thundered and shone. Thousand Bird Blade. Just as pain was about to be pierced, Naruto suddenly lost his strength, and the fairy face disappeared. It's time. Naruto clenched his teeth, and Tiandao broke free directly. God Luo Tien sign. The huge repulsive force hit the chests of Naruto and Sasuke, directly bouncing them away. After retreating 7 or 8 meters respectively, they fell to the ground, clutching their chests and gnashing their teeth. Damn it. Sasuke's mouth dripped a trace of blood, and he felt pain all over his body. Even his own sage mode and curse marks disappeared. As for Naruto lost the protection of Shanju chakra, he suddenly felt pain all over his body. At this moment, Shiradao opened his mouth wide, and a thick cannon barrel protruded from it. With a bang, a huge and thick missile rushed directly towards Sasuke. Its speed surprised even Sasuke. Fire-style Howlong fire technique. Sasuke gritted his teeth fiercely, opened his mouth and spat out a fire dragon, which immediately hit the missile firmly. But what Sasuke didn't expect was that the missile was not directly bombed, but continued to stagger and burn towards Sasuke with flames. Advertisement. At this moment, Ye Shenyue turned into a ray of light and appeared in front of Sasuke, raised his foot and swept the missile fiercely. After the infinite chakra vented, Tiandao trembled slightly, as if he had gone through a huge consumption. In the palm of the hand, the rays of light converge, and the laser light cannon fused with the fairy art chakra is absolutely amazing. The missile flew towards the nearby Hokage building and exploded with a bang. Naruto was taken aback. How troublesome. 5.6. Tiandao frowned slightly, and after looking at Ye Shenyue with a mentally retarded look, he rushed towards Ye Shenyue without saying a word. At this moment, Tien Shendao stood alone in front of the three of them. Asura Dao Zhangguang stretched out his gun barrel again and locked on Ye Shenyue. Since ordinary methods can't deal with you, I have no choice but to use this strongest technique. Tiandao smiled faintly. Planetary Devastation. The ground trembled, the dust and smoke stirred up, and the Hokage building was turned into ruins immediately, with nothing left. He took out his black stick, aimed at Ye Shenyue and shouted loudly, "God Luo Tianzheng." There was a loud bang, and several missiles flew directly at Ye Shenyue from different angles. Dust and smoke are everywhere, and the flames are all over the sky. But Ye Shenyue's figure still passed through the dust and smoke, strode forward and stomped hard on the ground. Looking at the power of the missile, a trace of cold sweat fell on Sasuke's forehead. He didn't expect the opponent's strength to be so amazing. If he had encountered such a blow just now, he would definitely die. In the next second, the laser cannon directly bombarded the barrier. At that moment, he felt the barrier vibrate. In the next second, Ye Shenyue went straight through the barrier. Enough of the fairy chakra now. Ye Shenyue smiled lightly, and the fairy face appeared on his face again. Advertisement. The whole body turned into a blazing light like a cannonball, and the fierce punch directly smashed Shiradao into a pile of scrap iron. At the same time, stretch out the other hand and aim at the sky. Where there is light, I am everywhere. Ye Shenyue's eyes became contemptuous, a layer of photons was attached to his fist, and then he slammed on the evil Kido. Hungry Kido's upper body was directly blown away, thrown dozens of meters away, and his lower body fell to the ground with a plop. That's it. Ye Shenyue sneered, his body shook, and the next second the black cup was held in Ye Shenyue's hands. I saw the black stick shoot towards Ye Shenyue suddenly with a whoosh sound. Although its speed was extremely astonishing, it still made Ye Shenyue feel that it was still too slow. The chakra on his body became vibrating again, which even made Ye Shenyue himself a little confused. Even without sage mode, it's enough to deal with you. Sasuke gritted his teeth. Ye Shenyue let out a long breath, and looked at the remaining three pain with a faint smile. Will the three of you single out me, or should I single out the three of you? Stretching out his hand, he saw a black ball slowly floating towards the sky. How is it possible? Tenjin raised his eyebrows, he hadn't thought that his opponent could pass through the barrier of Hungry Kido. And the fairy facial makeup on Ye Shenyue's face also gradually disappeared. He sighed, trouble, there is no fairy chakra anymore. Although Sasuke and Naruto have lifted sage mode, they still stare at pain. And Tiandao snorted coldly, clasped his hands together, and let out a loud shout. Ye Shenyue closed her eyes slightly, and the next moment, she sucked in all the natural energy around her into her body like a whale. At this moment, Hungry Kido stood in front of him, opened his arms with a confident expression, and a barrier directly wrapped himself and Tenshinto inside. The speed of absorbing natural energy is simply terrifying. This sage mode is like infinite. Naruto cast an envious look. In just a short moment, I saw a blazing white light blasted out by this laser light cannon, directly blasting towards the heavenly way. Chapter 146 Planetary Devastation. Funny enough. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The black ball rose into the sky, and in the eyes of everyone, it seemed to cover the sun. Ye Shenyue squinted slightly, as this the ninjutsu used by Sage of Six Paths in Legendary to create the moon. Seeing is believing. Tiandao watched Ye Shenyue tell the origin of planetary devastation, and he smiled slightly. Although his chakra was running out after using this technique, it should not be underestimated. It seems that you are quite knowledgeable. Yes, this is the ninjutsu of Sage of Six Paths to create the moon. It is more than enough to seal a nine tails. When I use this technique, you will definitely die. Naruto took half a step back and gritted his teeth. I didn't expect this to be your biggest reliance. Damn it, how should we deal with such a powerful technique? As soon as the words fell, this planetary devastation gradually produced a huge history. In an instant, the earth shattered, and countless stones gradually rose to the sky with those ninjas. Under this strong gravitational force, it seemed that all obstacles were futile. Damn, how could there be such a powerful technique? I'm out of control. Didn't you hear? This is the technique of Sage of Six Paths 02. How can we possibly compete? The Shao organization is so powerful, can we really stop it? A group of Genin Chunin stepped on the stones on the ground and gradually rose into the sky. Now the black ball has turned into a huge stone ball. Countless stones hit the stone ball directly, and there was a bang, and the air billowed with smoke. If it is pressed directly on it, it must be a narrow escape. Advertisement. Sasuke Naruto. That black ball is the center of this jutsu. As long as we attack this jutsu with the strongest attack, we will be able to break through this jutsu. This ninjutsu is not as scary as we imagined. Ye Shenyue said to Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto while stepping on a huge boulder. Naruto raised his head and looked at the sky, trembling, but now we are shaking like an earthquake, we can't even aim, how can we hit the black ball in the middle? He was a little apprehensive, and kept jumping among the rocks, but it was still difficult to avoid the fate of being sucked into the sky. Sasuke Sharingan on the side has been analyzing the black ball, explaining, it is because of its gravity that we don't need to aim. As long as we use the strongest long-range ninjutsu to attack in the direction of the black ball, we can crack this ninjutsu. It turned out to be like this. Uzumaki Naruto suddenly realized. And Ye Shenyue looked at Sasuke with a serious face and smiled slightly. It seems that this guy is indeed Uchiha Itachi's younger brother. But if he said this, he would probably be beaten by Sasuke. Sasuke snorted coldly, made mudras with his hands, and continuously refined chakra out of shit. Raising one hand to the sky, there was a trace of determination in his eyes. At this time, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and countless thunder and lightning roared. The manic thunder and lightning cut through the sky, forming a huge Kilin, roaring in the sky. And Naruto also took out the scroll, reversed summoning one of his fairy clones, and then released the clone, and he entered Sage mode at this moment. Sage Art Wind Style Spiral Shuriken. Advertisement. Holding the spiral shuriken in his hand, Naruto clenched his teeth, and there was a trace of killing intent in his eyes. Seeing that Naruto and Sasuke were getting ready, Ye Shenyue also smiled slightly, and a ray of light condensed in the palm of his hand. This light became more and more dazzling, like a small sun in an instant, constantly shining among the crowd. Laser Cannon. Lightning Style Kilin. Sage Art Wind Style Spiral Shuriken. For a moment, the strongest long-range ninjutsu of the three of them blasted towards the black ball in unison. How could the black ball in midair have suffered such grievances? The ninjutsu of these three people seemed to be attracted by a black hole, and they turned and landed directly on the black ball. Suddenly, there was a loud and trembling noise, as if the whole world was frozen in an instant. The frenzied flames were intermingled with buzzing sounds, constantly vibrating in the sky, and then Ye Shenyue's laser light cannon directly pierced through the black ball. In an instant, the stones floating in the sky crashed down, and countless stones fell to the ground. At this moment, there were heavy casualties again. The three of Ye Shenyue barely escaped from the stones, and looked at Tiandao with a cold smile. Pain, I always thought this technique was very powerful, but now it seems that I have cracked it so easily. Ye Shenyue looked at Pain provocatively. Strange, why does Sage of Six Paths have this trick? You are so powerful, and you are such a rubbish, it seems that it really has something to do with the caster. You are too bad. Advertisement. Pain's face changed suddenly, and he never thought that Ye Shenyue could use such a method to directly break open his planetary devastation. This weakness, even Pain himself did not think about it. It turns out that such a weakness exists and can be cracked so easily and simply. After using Kilin, some Sasuke who lacked chakra also snorted coldly, some sweat dripped down his face, and he looked at his opponent with a hint of provocation in his eyes. A guy like this looks nothing more than that. Sasuke smiled slightly, then turned his head to look at Ye Shenyue, but you can think of such a way to break this ninjutsu. You are really good. Not far away, Kakashi pushed away the stones on his body and showed a hint of pride on his face. As expected of my disciple, there is such a 580 mind that can break such a massive ninjutsu so easily. Afterwards, he sat cross-legged on the ground, patted the dust on his body, and said in a relaxed tone, from this point of view, this ability seems to be a little bit beyond me. It seems that you still don't pay attention to what is real pain. Pain sneered and said, only by following my will can we bring pain to this world and relieve pain. Afterwards, he pointed at Ye Shenyue, and said in a cold tone, the Kingdom of Rain used to be the battlefield of the three great powers, and the pain it brought to the Kingdom of Rain is unimaginable. Now I want to bring the same pain to the sanctimonious hypocrite Konoha village. After that, he slowly ascended to the sky, and said in a light tone, since this is the case, I will show you what real pain is. Do you want to use that move? Ye Shenyue narrowed his eyes slightly, but after using that move, Pain's chakra will not be much, and the next battle will be unsustainable. Why did he use this move? But now Ye Shenyue still doesn't want to think about this problem, because the attack range of this move is too terrifying. Besides, I'm still at the bottom here, so it's really hard to say that I was affected. Sasuke, use Kilin to chop him down. Ye Shenyue said viciously. Chapter 147 Hand over Rinnegan. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Still using Kilin. Sasuke was taken aback, watching Ye Shenyue touch his forehead. Did you burn out? Now I don't have much chakra, how can I chop him off with Kilin? Ye Shenyue pointed directly at Sasuke's head, and said, idiot. You don't have so little chakra. You can squeeze out some chakra after opening the spell seal and entering sage mode. Chakra is like toothpaste, as long as you squeeze it, it will come out. Sasuke gritted his teeth, looked at Pain who was exuding the terrifying chakra, took a breath, and showed a solemn expression on his face. Okay, then I'll try. As soon as the words fell, the chakra on his body suddenly condensed, and the curse seal quickly expanded and opened, entering the second stage of the curse seal. At the same time, the immortal facial makeup also appeared on his face, and the horizontal pupil of the toad overlapped with the Sharingan. Sage art. Sasuke gritted his teeth and roared, and began to pour his own little chakra. Seeing Sasuke's appearance, Ye Shenyue also let out a long sigh. He whispered softly, "Actually, I don't think this grandson is good either." And Sasuke didn't hear Ye Shenyue's words, but just worked hard to gather himself chakra. At this moment, the thunderclouds that were about to dissipate in the sky gathered again, and endless thunder and lightning shone from them. It can even be said that the previous thunder and lightning became even more terrifying after being integrated into the fairy art chakra, as if it could completely tear this place apart in just a short moment. Kilin. Sasuke roared, and saw the huge Kilin once again bombarded Pain directly with a powerful offensive. Pain was taken aback for a moment, and when he raised his head, he saw a dazzling beam of light crashing down towards him. Advertisement. And Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, the speed of thunder and lightning, but the kind of speed that can be seen but cannot be avoided, this Pain must not be able to withstand it. Sure enough, Pain didn't even have time to react, and was directly hit by Kilin. The shining thunder light twisted into a thunder pillar, and directly smashed firmly on Pain's chest. Immediately smashed Pain directly to the ground. With a click, the already extremely fragile ground shattered again, and even Pain himself was directly blasted to the ground. Damn it. Pain gritted his teeth. He just wanted to use the super god Luotian to get rid of these guys, but the opponent's attack speed was even faster than him. He raised his hand slowly, only to see that his hand was trembling slightly. It was obvious that Yahiko's body had been severely injured. At this moment, after Sasuke drained his own chakra, he also lifted the curse and squatted on the ground panting heavily. Covered in cold sweat, he raised his head and gritted his teeth. Ye Shenyue, you liar. I almost died here. Don't push me. Aren't you dead yet? Ye Shenyue sneered, and then looked at Pain's miserable condition with a trace of disdain in his eyes. This guy, it turned out that he couldn't even handle a Kilin. Soon, at the edge of the big pit where Pain was, a hand suddenly stretched out and grabbed the edge of the pit. I saw Pain crawling out slowly with a trace of coldness in his eyes. Use the perception of Sage Mode to feel the source of chakra. Ye Shenyue said. In the darkness, two pairs of eyes stared at them. But Pain gritted his teeth, but saw the light gradually tearing his body apart. Advertisement. You turn on Sage Mode. Naruto, come here. Ye Shenyue waved to Naruto. Hand over Rinnegan. Ye Shenyue said again, otherwise we can only do it. You bastard. Nagato waved his hand. Forget it, I really want to see these guys too. What's more, there is Konan, the top combat power on the side. Naruto was taken aback, then walked over and asked, Boss, what are you going to do? As soon as the words fell, he saw Tien Kongyan's sword directly piercing his chest. Quote. And Ye Shenyue also looked at his opponent with disdain, and snorted coldly, even if you say you want to bring pain to this world, in fact you just want to transfer the pain you have suffered to others. How naive. Quote. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, I have sensed it, I will take you away. Looking at the giant tree, Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, then reached out and tore the giant tree open, Nuo Chinhao, a big hole. Existence, outside a giant tree camouflaged with sheets of paper. We finally found them. Konan looked at Nagato with a cold voice and said, do you want me to get rid of them? Seeing the appearance of the fairy face, Ye Shenyue chuckled, and then directly inserted the black stick into Naruto's body. And Ye Shenyue put his hands in his pockets, looked at Nagato, and said bluntly, hand over Rinnegan. He didn't want to be stabbed by the black stick, it was long and hard, and it hurt to death. Advertisement. What? Nagato was taken aback, as if he couldn't believe what Ye Shenyue said, you want me to hand over Rinnegan, are you kidding me? Ye Shenyue sneered, Nagato, you always thought that Yahiko's death was because of this world, and this world brought you pain. In fact, you never knew that, the bowl has the head and the dead has the owner. A guy who was in the same boat as friends and enemies. As soon as the words fell, Yahiko's body was directly torn apart, and every inch of it collapsed. He snorted coldly, although his legs were disabled and he couldn't move, but his combat power was still not vegetarian. Ye Shenyue shook his head slowly, maybe the real leader of Shao organization is not this guy, no real leader will show his face. Then he opened his eyes and looked at the three people in front of him, you can kill pain, you are very strong. Afterwards, he stood up, put away the Amakongan sword, and then removed the black stick from Yahiko's body. Ow! Naruto screamed, blood flowing. Seeing that the last pain also died in front of Ye Shenyue, Kakashi stepped forward with a trace of surprise in his eyes, Ye Shenyue, you actually killed pain. This guy is the leader of the Akatsuki organization. Ye Shenyue paused for a moment, a fairy face appeared on his face instantly, and then compared his shoulders to the black stick, a trace of hesitation flashed in his eyes. At this moment, he also said unwillingly, how is it possible, you guy? No, you don't know what real pain is. Naruto nodded, and a fairy face appeared on his face a few minutes later. This black stick is the tool for chakra transmission. As long as you reversely perceive the direction of chakra, you can find the location of Pain's body. Then, Naruto led the way and ran out of the village with Sasuke and Ye Shenyue. Ye Shenyue and Sasuke Naruto they came here. Even Pain was stunned for a moment, he didn't even guess that the opponent's speed was so fast that it reached such an outrageous level. Chapter 148 Only one Rinnegan left. Open black lens bracket and update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Seeing Ye Shenyue's attitude, Kakashi also wiped a cold sweat. Rinnegan is the Eye of Sage of Six Paths in Legendary, and this attitude makes the enemy surrender his own Rinnegan. How can this be? And Nagato also looked at Ye Shenyue with slightly squinted eyes. He also didn't know whether this guy had a problem with his brain or he really didn't know how important Rinnegan was. I won't hand over Rinnegan anyway, Conan, it may depend on you next. Nagato snorted coldly. His body is really weak, and even manipulating Six Paths Pain is already a huge overdraft of chakra. Had he not been of the Uzumaki clan, he might have been sucked dry by the Rinnegan long ago. Does that mean there's nothing to talk about? Sasuke and Naruto, we're going to do it. Ye Shenyue sneered, and the light gathered in his hand immediately, and the Tiankongan sword appeared in the next moment. Holding the Amazono sword, Ye Shenyue can be said to be more confident, and now he is not afraid of Nagato and Conan. And Sasuke and Naruto were also stunned for a moment, then turned around and looked at Nagato, ready to find out the flaws of Nagato and Conan at any time, and directly deal with the opponent here. Advertisement. Nagato sneered, Conan, I guess I'll leave it to you next time. Now that Six Paths Pain has been defeated, my main body's chakra is almost used up. The pieces of paper were scattered, and a pair of huge wings grew from Xiao 417 Nan's back, floating in midair and looking at his opponent. He said in a cold voice, Nagato, I can deal with these guys, just take a good rest. Quote. Yes, Nagato nodded. Watching Conan gradually fly towards Ye Shenyue, Nagato was about to take a breath when he saw a person suddenly appear behind him. Nagato, it looks like you're going to fail. Uchiha Obito came out of nowhere and stood behind Nagato and said. Uchiha Madara, I will not fail, I want to bring real peace to this world. Nagato seemed to be unaware of Obito's intentions, and shook his head slightly. Now Nine Tails is standing in front of us. As long as we create when the Ten Tails weapon comes out, it can deter the major countries, and when it brings pain to everyone, this ultimate peace can also be achieved. Nagato, you are really naive. Obito smiled slightly, you don't seem to know that your journey ends in dead silence. As soon as the words fell, Obito's arm directly penetrated Nagato's chest. Poof. Blood continued to flow from Nagato's chest, and Obito also smiled slightly, saying, now you should know what the ultimate road looks like. This world itself has no reason to exist, Ten Tails it's just a lie on my part. Nagato's eyes widened, watching the blood continuously flow from his chest. His body had already reached its limit, but now he was trembling all over, and he could hardly speak a complete sentence. Only barely managed to squeeze out a few words from his lips. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara. You. Isn't it your own dream to bring peace to this world? Why do such a thing? Conan turned back hurriedly when he heard the abnormality behind him, and saw Obito's arm directly penetrated Nagato's chest, and also exclaimed. Nagato, how are you doing? She ignored Ye Shenyue, manipulated countless pieces of paper and flew directly towards Obito. Obito sneered, watching countless pieces of paper pass through his body and nailed to the wall behind him, with a trace of contempt in his eyes. The Scarlet Sharingan looked at everyone in front of him, and then smiled slightly. I said that I want to bring real peace to this world, but it's not this way, even Nine Tails can't be caught, you have nothing at all now the use value of it. As soon as the words fell, Obito stretched out his hand and directly buckled one of Nagato's Sharingan, and then put it in the bottle prepared in advance. When he wanted to remove the other eye, Ye Shenyue hurriedly shouted, not good. Can't let this guy collect all two Sharingan. Otherwise there will be big things. As soon as the words fell, he directly turned into ACDD, a ray of light and rushed towards Obito, but what he didn't expect was that Obito was illusory again and directly avoided the blow. Ye Shenyue. You are so naive. I have observed your battles and know that your speed cannot even be caught by the naked eye. Even Shisui back then was just an apprentice in front of you, what a pity. Obito sneered, and shook the bloodline on his hand, as long as I hollow out early, you won't be able to hit my body, no attack can defeat me. Really? Ye Shenyue sneered. I also added your shot. Just now you even stopped your movements to avoid Conan's paper shuriken. If you turned on hollow, there should be no way to actually cause attack. I'm right. Hearing Ye Shenyue's words, Obito's expression suddenly became ferocious. It seemed that he couldn't believe every word Ye Shenyue said, and he just murmured, how is it possible? I was shot by you just once. See through. I have never seen such a talent. Advertisement. Then his expression darkened again. The only person who can really hit me is 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. I want to see how you compare with him. As soon as the voice fell, Obito let go of Nagato, and Nagato collapsed, fell off the support with a thud, and fell to the ground. Conan hurriedly helped Nagato up, and said with concern, Nagato. How are you? Yahiko is dead, you must not die. And Nagato can only smile wryly now. It seems that I failed in the end, although it was a mistake to believe Uchiha Madara at the beginning. Then, pointing tremblingly at Obito in the distance, he gritted his teeth, this guy must never get a Rinnegan. The other Rinnegan doesn't matter whether you hide it or destroy it. You can't fall into his hands. Superior. And Obito looked at Ye Shenyue who was slowly rushing towards him at this moment, with a hint of mockery on the corner of his mouth. After fighting pain for so long, I think you don't have many chakra anymore, I really don't know if you are me now opponent. And Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, stretched out his fist and slammed towards Obito's mask fiercely. However, Ye Shenyue's fist passed through Obito's mask in the end. Seeing this scene, Obito snorted coldly and punched Ye Shenyue's face hard. But in the next second, Obito's fist also passed through the head of the night god. How is it possible? Obito was shocked for a moment. Hey, you're not the only one with this ability. And I'm stronger than you. The next moment, Ye Shenyue reached out and grabbed Obito's neck, lifted Obito up. Your ninjutsu. I have seen through it. Chapter 149. Itachi's News. Second update. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Damn it. Obito opened his eyes and looked at Ye Shenyue behind him, surprised. My Sharingan didn't even see through you. And Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, grabbed Obito's neck firmly, and said, I will never let you go. You troublesome guy. As soon as the words fell, Ye Shenyue's fist was covered with a layer of armament hockey, and it suddenly became extremely black, and under the refraction of the light, it shone with a metallic luster. Catch me, it will only get you into trouble. Obito smiled slyly, and then with Sharingan as the center, strange spirals began to twist, and everything in the real space seemed to be sucked into it. Oops, Ye Shenyue, get away from him. Kakashi hurriedly shouted, he didn't want to see Ye Shenyue twisted into a twist. What Ye Shenyue is worried about now is not that he will be screwed to death, because he knows that if he transforms his body into light, there are almost no ninjutsu that can hit him. Includes Obito's pupil spell, it's just that Obito wants to run, and I can't stop him. Advertisement. Fire style. Dragon fire technique. Sasuke, who had already exhausted his chakra, clenched his teeth and spit out a string of flames to support Ye Shenyue while blocking his opponent. Just Obito sneered, looking at Nagato on the ground, with a trace of disdain in his eyes, I will get this eye back sooner or later. Panting heavily, Nagato wiped the bloodline at the corner of his mouth with his slender arm, and said, if he is not Uchiha Madara, then it doesn't matter who this person is, I already know what I did in the original belief contrary to each other. The Akatsuki organization has also become what I don't want it to be. Konan was taken aback for a moment, then nodded and said, I see. Watching Nagato die, Konan also let out a sigh of relief, holding Nagato's body and wanted to leave. Zero looking for flowers. What's going on? Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, and saw a humanoid creature coming out of it. Nagato, stop talking, we were just deceived by that masked man. Konan gritted his teeth and said. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, it's okay if you don't believe it. After all, his eyes, which are almost the same as yours, can be dug out from other people's eyes, but this person is definitely not Uchiha Madara. Obito. Kakashi was taken aback, he couldn't believe this deduction, how could it be possible? Obito is already dead. Uchiha Madara. Sasuke and Kakashi's eyes tightened. They both knew the history of 100 years ago. As for Uchiha Madara, they naturally understood what kind of monster it was. Can't go. You're going to destroy his Rinnegan. Ye Shenyue gritted his teeth and said to her. Advertisement. And Ye Shenyue looked at Nagato on the ground, and said with a cold snort, look, this is your good teammate. If you don't listen to me when I advise you to be good, you insist on coming here to invade Konoha. If you don't invade, rely on Six Paths Pen might still be alive. Looks almost certain now. Thinking of this, Sasuke's eyes dimmed slightly, and then he said, no matter where he is, I will find him. Konan snorted coldly, turned his head to look at Ye Shenyue and said, I will not harm Nagato's body, and this Rinnegan is also the target of the masked man. I can finally lure the masked man here. I will kill him with my own hands. Seeing Sasuke's emotional collapse, Ye Shenyue touched his head, sighed and said, your current strength may be enough to defeat Uchiha Itachi, but you still don't know where Uchiha Itachi is. Ye Shenyue looked at the resolute Konan and scratched his head, and said, it's okay, but you should prepare more detonating symbols, I'm afraid I won't die. Sasuke, I've been looking for you for a long time. Ju smiled, and then said, I want to tell you, where is Uchiha Itachi? Nagato let out a sigh of relief, with a trace of unwillingness in his eyes, he slowly got up, then leaned against the wall, and said slowly, it seems that I was still wrong, Uchiha Madara really lied to me. Just when Sasuke was still thinking about where Uchiha Itachi was, he suddenly saw a tree twisted in front of him. Nagato was taken aback, as if he didn't understand Ye Shenyue's words, and said, since he is not Uchiha Madara, who is he? I saw that person look like a potted plant, and his body seemed to be divided into two halves, one half was black and the other was white. Then, staring at Kakashi's other Sharingan, he said, Kakashi-sensei should still remember the Battle of Kanobi Bridge. Uchiha Obito who should have died there is this guy. No, he's not Uchiha Madara, he's just a clown with the name of Uchiha Madara. Ye Shenyue snorted coldly, rolled his eyes at Kakashi and Sasuke, and said, don't even think about it, if it's really Uchiha Madara, he wouldn't killed us already. Advertisement. As soon as the voice fell, she disappeared in place. As soon as the voice fell, Obito directly entered the different space and disappeared from everyone's eyes. And Ju smiled, and was about to say something when he was interrupted by Ye Shenyue. And Nagato looked at Konan, whose eyes were full of unwillingness, and smiled slightly, I can't last long, and when I die, I will bring my body back to the land of rain. Inside Uchiha's secret residence, right? Ye Shenyue chuckled, I can come and tell Sasuke, maybe this is the only place. Is it there? Sasuke's eyes widened, if that's the case, when will I kill him? As soon as the words fell, Nagato's wound was bleeding continuously, and he died in an instant. If he wasn't Uchiha Madara, only Uchiha Itachi would know his true identity. Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, this guy may have something to do with the genocide that year. Damn, we can't wait for Konan to kill him. If you kill him, I will kill this beast with my own hands. Uchiha Itachi. Sasuke's heart tightened when he heard the name, and then he said, where is that guy? I'm going to kill this beast with my own hands. Seeing Konan leave, the giant tree also collapsed. Everyone hurried out of the giant tree, and then looked at the leaves covered by the flames of war in the distance, and sighed endlessly. Damn, this guy let him run away in the end. Naruto clenched his teeth, but he knew that Nagato and Obito were in the same group, and now Obito actually attacked his companion, it was too much. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, definitely not Uchiha Madara, he is a person who should have died. Chapter 150 The one who almost hit the street. Third watch. Please subscribe. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Seeing that Ye Shenyue was able to tell the location of Uchiha Itachi, Ju was stunned, and then said to Sasuke, 3 days later, he will wait for you at that place, hehe, I don't know if you will die there or he will die there. I actually entrusted you to deliver the message. It seems that there is really no one in the Shao organization. Ye Shenyue shook his head helplessly, and then said absolutely, since your message has been delivered, there is no reason for me to kill you now. Quote. As soon as the words fell, Ju Yi frowned. You will kill me. How is it possible? I am just a messenger. I don't want to fight with you. Then, the body slowly disappeared into the trees. It was only at this time that Sasuke realized that the opponent was also an enemy. He pulled out the Kusanagi sword, and suddenly there was a thunderous light on the sword, and he slashed at Ju with a fierce sword. Since he is a member of Shao's organization, there is no reason for the existence of Ban March 7. Ju looked at Sasuke, who looked like a mad dog, and hurriedly raised an arm. After a scream, he saw his arm fell directly to the ground. There is mucus flowing out of the wound. Damn it, wait for me. Ju clenched his teeth, but the next second he saw Ye Shenyue flashing in front of him, raised his fist full of armament haki, and slammed it hard on his head. Bang. Advertisement. Ju's head was directly smashed and deformed like plasticine, and his body was also suddenly smashed into the trees. With the sound of bicycle horns, he disappeared in front of everyone. Damn, get rid of him. Ye Shenyue cursed secretly. And Sasuke snorted coldly at this time, and said, it's absolutely no big deal. Our most important thing now is to get rid of that bastard Uchiha Itachi. Hey, Ye Shenyue said dissatisfied. Don't drag everything on me. You must know that I have no enmity with Uchiha Itachi, it's none of my business. The future 6th Hokage must be one of them. Suddenly, Ino and Hinata also came over and saw Ye Shenyue at a glance. And Ichiraku was looking at Naruto and Sasuke with a surprised expression. It's really delicious. He remembered that when he just took over the 7th shift, Naruto was still the tail of the crane, Ye Shenyue was still a salted fish with no characteristics at all, and Sasuke was still that rash. Ye Shenyue smiled faintly. Hey, keep a low profile. I hope. Seeing Naruto and Sasuke who had no strength at all, Ye Shenyue simply grabbed one of their legs and walked towards Konoha village with one deep foot and one shallow foot. But now, relying on the three of them, they have successfully defeated an opponent of Pain's level. I still have Kaduo's gold and silver on me, and these bowls are nothing in front of me. Hey, spicy chicken, you've only eaten 7 bowls. Naruto chuckled and made a face at Sasuke. Advertisement. Ah, why? Ye Shenyue asked suspiciously if it's free or not, he doesn't care at all. Ye Shenyue smiled slightly, then stretched her waist and said lazily, okay, we can go and relax for the next 3 days. After all, this pain is really giving me a headache. Soon Kakashi seemed to remember something. Is it because of Lin? It's okay, no matter how much you eat today, we will give it to you for free. Ichiraku smiled slightly. Are these the heroes who protect the village 5.6? And Naruto was obviously still worried about Sasuke, and said, let's go together as the city in ambush. Or there will be other members of the Akatsuki organization ambush us outside. They're so powerful, monsters like Pain can be defeated. Uncle Ichiraku narrowed his eyes with a smile, and said to the 3 of them, now everyone in the village knows that you have protected Konoha village. Without you, this noodle shop may not exist anymore. Hinata and Ino also attracted countless residents and ninjas at this time, and the crowd almost surrounded the entire Ichiraku noodle restaurant. Are you blind? I obviously ate 8 bowls. Sasuke glanced at Naruto 0. Listening to Naruto's words, Sasuke thought about it, finally sighed helplessly, and said, okay, then you come with me. But you can only wait outside. After all, it is our Uchiha territory. Quote. Ino also smiled and said, that's right, almost everyone in Konoha village now knows you, and they also know the Konoha village you are protecting under Pain's hands. Naruto also sat down on the ground, looked at the sky and said, I never thought that our opponent would be so strong. But we have defeated even this kind of opponent. I believe there is no opponent that can defeat us. Advertisement. Seeing these people express their gratitude to him, Naruto also smiled. It seems that we have gained their approval. Maybe we can become Hokage soon. Ye Shenyue looked into the distance and sighed. That's right, it's just that we don't have time to be intoxicated by everyone's admiration. The threat from the Akatsuki organization has not been eliminated. As long as you exist in this world, Naruto, the Akatsuki organization will missing you. Sasuke gave Ye Shenyue a blank look and said, of course you weren't asked to deal with that guy. I can go by myself. Suddenly, Kakashi remembered the existence of Uchiha Obito again. One more bowl. Sasuke and Naruto held out the big empty bowl at the same time. There was not even a drop of vegetable soup left in it. It seems that the consumption of the pain battle is still very terrifying for them, and they haven't stopped after eating 7 or 8 bowls. Yeah, Sasuke put his chopsticks on the mouth of the bowl, folded his arms and gritted his teeth and said, that guy from Uchiha Itachi. You can defeat him in 3 days. I'm really looking forward to it. If that person is really Obito, then what exactly did he go through to become like this? Kakashi frowned. The former Obito was the gentle boy who dreamed of becoming Hokage. Ye Shenyue looked at Sasuke and Naruto who kept stuffing ramen into their mouths, and sighed helplessly, aren't you going to feed the children? You're so hungry. And Kakashi looked at the backs of the 3, and smiled slightly. These 3 guys have grown up from what I first saw. Ichiraku ramen shop. Ye Shenyue scratched his head helplessly. The problem is that if Naruto wasn't Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Pain wouldn't seem to be okay to come to Konoha. Mr. Ye Shenyue. Hinata walked up to Ye Shenyue, held Ye Shenyue's hand and said, Mr. Ye Shenyue, now you are the big heroes in the eyes of Konoha village.